Hey guys, here I am being nosy. Here I am being nosy. Here I am being a regular CC. I mean, a regular subscriber, being nosy, checking around the YouTube spaces to see what's going on. Happy Sunday, guys. Hope you're doing good. It's a lot going on. And interestingly, one of the things that's going on right now that's been happening in social media land is people talking about P. Diddy and this video that was released. This video clip that was released of him physically assaulting, and we don't even know if he was verbally assaulting her too, but he was physically assaulting Kathy. And now the world has, access to this video. And a lot of people are talking about the fact that he's been in denial, denial, denial. He and his lawyers have been in denial for the longest time. And today, he gives an apology. What do you think about that? So, 1 minute, you're denying any and every allegation that came against you, whether it was an allegation of rape, whether it was an allegation of physical abuse, whether it was an allegation of sex trafficking. You denied. And here you are today, well, yesterday, I think, putting up an apology on Instagram. I don't know if he did it on any other of his social media accounts, but I did see it on Instagram today. And I was like, my, would you believe what we have here? Okay. Would you believe what we have here? This man has the nerve to come on here trying to appear authentic, trying to appear like, he has considered everything he has done and he's trying to appear remorseful and everything, but it's not really working out. It definitely isn't. Okay. You want to let it be known that you are seeking therapy. You've been seeking therapy for this situation and you are at a very bad time in your life and you're trying to win the public's sympathy, but it's just not going to work, P. Diddy. Okay. It is just not going to work. I'm just saying. Okay. Well, a lot of news outlets have been discussing this, and we really want to see the direction this is about to go. Everybody is waiting. Well, not everybody. Most people are waiting with bated breath to see what this is going to uncover. Is it going to uncover the fact that there are numerous people who he is cool with, who he's associated with, that are going to be exposed for their role, especially in the sex trafficking? Is that what it's going to do? We are going to be hearing some names after this. Some people are going to be so surprised at the different names that are going to be attached to P. Diddy, especially as it relates to not only the sex trafficking, but all those parties he's been having. Who to tell if we're going to hear things about drugs and all of that stuff? This guy is crazy. All of those traveling, we've heard him going flying out on private jets, going to different places on his yacht and so on. You know what's happened out there. If he could do all of that in a public space with Cassie, what does he do when he have them out there in the middle of the darn ocean? What does he do with them when he takes them to other countries? How many more women have been silenced by him? I'm just saying. Well, tonight we're supposed to be discussing domestic abuse with Miss Vino Entertainment TV. And if she doesn't come up, she's supposed to be here. It's been 9 minutes. But if I don't see her, we'll just talk about it a bit. There's another person, DJ Academics, who recently, hey, Vino Entertainment. I was wondering where you were, girl. Good to see you. There was another individual that just recently we heard about him too. His name is DJ Academics. I think he was also charged for sexually assaulting someone too. So he's this podcaster. I've always seen him on YouTube. Um, However, just not when did I see this? Was this yesterday or the day before? Um, that he was charged with sexual abuse. That R word there, that god awful R word there, you know? And I was saying to myself, what could have gone in this man's head to be doing something like that? What is it? So he's accused of rape, and I'm thinking I'm probably keep up with that one too. Normally I don't keep up with these celebrities and their crazy lives because I do not grudge them. Okay, I do not. I'm just saying. He is facing allegations of rape. He is facing allegations of defamation, and there is actually a lawsuit out for him right now. Okay. All right, let me drop this link real quick. There's a lot going on in my little sector right here that I frequent. So it's a lot going on. I'm dropping the link from Miss Perp. And if there's anybody coming over here from Vino Entertainment TV's channel, welcome and thank you for passing through. I appreciate you guys for stopping by and also for coming over here to, lend her your support. And you're new here, welcome. Let me see if I can pronounce your name. Lush Gang Mama Leggin. I think you are a moderator over there. I think I saw your name over by Vino, Miss Perp's channel. Welcome to everyone coming in, and feel free to drop down at any time. It's always my space is always an open space. And so to my chat, my only one rule over here is to be respectful. Okay. So welcome to everyone. So I dropped the link for Miss Perb. Hey Nikki. There's a lot going on out there in the streets, child. And I was busy being nosy, but then, I have to come and do this. So I'm like, I'll catch up with what's going on later on. Okay. Oops. So this is a segment that I call Kick Back with Carrie. Um, Whenever I have like different topics of conversation, I enjoy coming here and kicking it back with whoever wants to, be a part of the conversation. Um, Kick Back with Carrie hopefully is gonna be a weekly thing. Like I was saying to someone the other day, I just need maybe a month or so. When I have more time on my hands, I will be more consistent with my Kickback with Carrie segment. Because I really, as much as I like the sector that I'm in, I'd really much prefer to have, these types of conversations. I'm just saying.
Let me hear what you have to say.
Okay, is this Miss Perp? Hello? You're on mute.
Okay, there I go. Hey, Miss Carrie, how
There
you
you
doing?
go. Hey, Miss Perp. I am doing good, and how are you? Let me remove this thing. Can you hear me?
I can't complain. Can't complain. Yes,
That is
ma'am.
good to
Yes,
hear.
ma'am. I can hear you.
I'm hoping, good night. I'm hoping you're having a good day so far. And before I even go any further,
Oh,
I want
yeah.
to tell you thank you so much for, taking the time out to come over here to have this discussion. Also, you have the opportunity to also stream this to your own channel also, if you'd like
Okay.
to. There's
Thank
an option. Let me see. Let me make it available to you so you can stream it live. There we go. I turned that on. So yeah, so you can stream it to your channel, so it'll be on your channel also. um
Yeah.
I also
Thank
want
you.
to say, I'm wishing all the best for your son. I remember you were saying that you had some stuff going on, so I'm hoping everything is going good with your son as well.
Yeah, he's doing better. He had lung in his pneumonia, and he had lung in his he had pneumonia in his lungs. So I had tried to
Oh
nurse him back
no.
together. I don't care how old your kids are. I don't care how old you are. You gonna always wear that mother's hat.
Yeah, so I'm just
Hmm.
happy that things are going good,
Thank you.
because that can be a lot to deal with.
Oh
Pneumonia
yeah.
is nothing. You never know what can happen. So I'm glad
Right.
that you're taking care of him and he's in good hands. All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, I met Miss Perp. Was it like 2 months ago, Miss Perp? You came
Yes,
over here one Sunday, maybe a month and a half, and she was freshly new, just seen my channel for the first time. And I
oh
saw her
yeah.
and she clicked the link and I enjoyed the conversation we had. Just, a quick conversation out of nowhere, and it was, a pleasant one, and I really enjoyed it. And I asked her if she would be able to come back and, you know, have a conversation, because she had mentioned something about domestic violence, because she was talking about some of the stuff that she does on her channel. And I said, you know what? I'd like for you to come back. And she promised to come back, and here she is today. So thank you for passing through, Miss Perp.
Yes, ma'am. Anytime. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Oh, hold on. So today we're going to be talking, of course, about your experience with domestic. Oh, here goes Lush Gang. She's bigging you up. She says, "Okay, Miss Perp is amazing. Shout out to her." Okay,
Yes, so
that's nice.
sweet.
Right. So you had mentioned to me that you had experienced domestic abuse, right? For those who don't know, It can happen to anyone. It could happen to between two spouses. It could be happening to siblings against siblings. It could even happen with spouses, well, with parents and their children and family members, right? So it is any type of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over another person. All right. Are you ready for me, Miss Perp?
Yes, ma'am. Let's do this. Let's get some knowledge out. Let's get some knowledge out.
Okay. Okay, so you did say that you want to share your story with us, and I want you to make sure you're comfortable. If there's anything that I ask you that you don't want to respond to, I'll be okay with that too.
Okay.
Right. So
Right.
let's begin. Let's begin with meeting your partner. When did you meet your partner,
Oh, it was back in I was in my
or at what
20s.
age?
I was in my 20s.
You were in your 20s. And what was the relationship like, when you just met him? Just give us an idea of what things were like when you just met
Hmm.
this person. Go ahead.
Well, we had a good relationship and everything, and um, I had my two boys and everything, and so I had started dating this guy, and we had dated for a while and everything, and so he starts, how you start spending the night at my house and everything, and so he had came over. He had came over one day, and he had brought a TV. Now I had a TV already back then. I'll tell you how long ago this was. I had a TV. It was those big old tall projector screen TVs. You remember those a long time ago? Those projector tall
Mhm.
TVs, projector screen. I'm talking
Mhm.
about. I
Yeah.
had one of those. So, but when I had told him that I didn't want to date him anymore, that's when he had got mad. You know, when somebody say they don't want to date you no more, you can't get mad. That's what that is. Just accept what they say and just move on.
How long in the
And
relationship?
he
I'm sorry. How long in the relationship were you with him before you decided, you know what, I don't want to be with you, before you
about
decided to tell
about
that?
2 years, about two
Okay.
years, and
So he was
what broke
living
the
with two
what made
years.
me stop. Yeah, and what made me stop dealing with him, my son said, Mom, I said, what? Come on. He said, my son was young. He's 39 now. He was young. He was 39 at the time. He was young. He's 39 now. And he said, his name was Chris. I seen Chris around the corner doing drugs. I was like, you seen Chris doing what? He said, I seen Chris doing drugs. So when I seen Chris, I let Chris know that, I need a man for my kid. I don't want a man that do drugs. It's not what I want in my household, and that's not what I want around my kids. Because I want my kids to be men's, not drugs, dope fiends, not kids not going to school. I want my kids to be men's to go to school and get an education. And so that's what really broke the camel's back. I didn't want to date him anymore. So,
Oh, so but
he said
before
it.
that, the relationship was good, right? Before that, before your son
Right,
told that to you,
right,
was the relationship good?
right. Well,
No
yeah,
problems?
yeah, no problems.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right. When my
Okay.
son told me that, I knew right then that it wasn't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not what I was looking
Right.
for my kid. You know,
Right.
and
And the
I
fact
wanted
that it's your
more.
child who told you made it even
Right,
worse, you know?
it made it
He is
worse. Right.
no Mhm.
So
So he would be no role model for your child at that
not
point. So
not
you
one at
just knew
all.
you had to end it. As a mother, the first thing you decided to do was to protect your child, and he is not, seeking the best interest of your child
Mm-mm.
by his
No,
actions.
right. I didn't
Okay.
feel like that. So that's why I said it wasn't going to work because that's not what I was trying to raise in my household. And when my son told me
Okay.
that, I knew my son wasn't lying. My son's not gonna lie, and I know the truth. So I just went exactly what he said. So it was true. So he accepted it over the phone that I no longer wanted to date him. He did accept that. He accepted it, but he didn't accept it. So later on, I guess about a month or so passed by. So I'm sleeping in my bed, and all of a sudden, about 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m., my door was kicked in. So
Oh
when my door
no.
got kicked in, yeah, I sat straight up in the bed, and I got up and I walked around the corner, and there was Chris standing in my living room, and I'm like, what the hell you doing standing in my living room and kick my door in? You know what I'm saying? And I knew right then from there that it was either me or him. I knew. I knew. So I knew I had to fight my way. I had to fight. So I did have to fight. I fought this man from my living room all the way into my dining room. We fought.
And your son was there? He
No,
came
I
kicking
was,
your
I was,
door up,
no,
even.
I was home alone.
Oh wow.
This was on
And
a
did he know you
weekend.
were
I
going
was
to be
home
home
alone.
alone? Oh, so your son was not with you during on the weekends.
No, his
So he
my
definitely
youngest father.
knew.
Yeah, I was home alone. Yeah, because he knew my schedule. He knew that my son, one of my
Right.
sons being home, went to Turl, Texas, to visit his father, and he knew my other son. He'd be gone a lot. So they were both gone. I was home by myself. You know,
Okay.
and
So prior to him just coming in on you that night, right? Did he
mhm.
show any other signs at all earlier on in the relationships or any red flags earlier on that, this is not the guy? Apart from,
Right.
because I heard you say everything was good, but apart from you hearing
Yeah,
about him doing drugs, did you see any other
I
red
don't think
flags before?
I probably did. I probably just didn't notice it, like a lot of us do.
Wow.
It probably was a red
Okay.
flag, Carrie, but I just didn't notice it. It be flags there, and you just don't be noticing that the red
Yeah.
flag. You overlook it, and perhaps that's what I did. It was a
Yeah.
flag that I overlooked. I didn't pay any attention,
Okay. So
and
take us back to that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
that can cause a big deal in relationship when it's a sign there and you don't pay any attention.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So take us back to this night that you said he came, he kicked your door off and proceeded to fight you. What was he saying to you? Did he say anything to you while this was happening? You guys were fighting, just tussling.
Yeah, he
Was
was
he
saying,
reprimanding you in any way?
why do I not? Yeah, why do I not want to date him anymore? I just told I was told you on drugs. You know what I'm saying? And that's all he would kept saying. You know what I'm saying? So we continue we continue to fight, and he's a man. I am a woman. And I don't care how strong a woman say she is. A woman really just can't just really whoop a man, a strong man, and he was a strong man.
Wow.
Um, we fought.
So you had to be
And
fighting for your life.
I was fight, girl. I was fighting for my life. Mm, I was fighting for my
Mm-mm.
life.
And just imagine being awakened from your sleep. You must have been startled. You don't know who is coming in. You don't know, if it's an attacker. Well, he was. But just
Yeah,
imagine you are in your slumber. You don't know who is coming in. Could have been people coming to rob you. You would not have expected that it would have been someone who you were dating for 2 years. So
I
that
did not
must have
expect.
been shocking for you.
Yeah, it was scary. I didn't expect that. And then I had neighbors. I had a neighbor under me, a neighbor behind me, and a neighbor upstairs above me. And they heard the commotion. They heard all of the commotion that went on.
Mm.
But the lady downstairs is always borrowing sugar, always want to use the phone. The house back then the house phone was popular. We was using the home phone. She always wanted something. And um, I talked to her one day um, after that, but I'm gonna get to that. But um, after he came in, we was fighting to we got to the fight into the dining room, fighting into the dining room. Um, Back then, they had the glass dinette tables and they had the square dinette tables and had the round dinette tables. They had just first came out with those glass tables, dinette tables.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I had a square dinette table. And I guess he just figured that, I wasn't gonna stop fighting him. I just kept coming at him, and he picked me up and threw me into the dinette table.
Oh my god.
And that took me to being unconscious.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah. So it was some young girls. I guess they may have been about the young ladies may have been about 19, 18, 19. They had just had a little girl, and they even want to call the police. They heard all the commotions. Um,
Wow.
the lady downstairs who always borrows sugar and want to use my phone and things like that from me, she did not call the police. She heard the commotion, but she did not call the police. And how mad I was at that lady because of the fact that she knew I was a single woman at my house, and she knew that I lived alone, and she did not.
Yeah, she should know you were leaving alone because she comes up there to borrow stuff. And
Right.
she heard all of that commotion above her head and didn't say, okay, let me go check in. Let me see what's going on.
That woman didn't say not one word, not nothing. She didn't even pick
Even
up
though,
the doggone phone to call the police, girl.
or at least alert someone because sometimes people are very, careful of wanting to be around stuff they don't understand and stuff. But at the same time, it could have been way more serious than that. Even though you did say you got knocked out pretty much. That is just crazy to even know that. Was he in a drug induced rage? Could you tell if he was high or anything? Did he how what was he doing? What
I
was he
could
saying? How
I
did
couldn't
he
tell if
look?
he was.
Because it was
I
dark.
could
Well,
tell
that
it was dark. I couldn't see. It was dark. I couldn't
yeah,
see.
yeah.
I couldn't see.
Lord,
Um, but I stayed in the hospital for about 3 weeks. I was in a coma for
that
about
man
two.
sent you
Yeah,
in
I was in a coma
hospital
for about 2 weeks. Yeah, I was in a coma for about 2 weeks, and what
in
brought
a
me out was I
coma.
heard my cousin talking, and I came out. But um, we have to notice the signs. Like you asked me earlier, did I see a sign? I didn't see not one sign.
Wow.
I didn't see not one sign at all. But like I
And the
said,
fact that you mentioned, I'm sorry, go ahead.
it might have been a sign, but I just didn't. I didn't notice it. I didn't see it. I was blind to that sign.
You know what? Maybe the fact that you even said to him that, he is taking drugs and he wouldn't be the right person to be around your children. Did he try at least to, say, okay, I'm going to be changing my way? Did he deny it, by the way?
No, he did not deny it. No, ma'am, he didn't deny it.
Mm-mm.
Not one time.
And
He
he
didn't
didn't
deny.
even offer to say, okay, I'm going to make some changes. I want the relationship to work. I'm not going to do it again. Nothing.
Nothing. He didn't. None of that came across. Nothing. Nothing. No, he said he would change. He never admitted to it. He never admitted to my son seeing him. He never admitted to none of that. He didn't say not one word.
Oh, wow. So you said you were in a coma for about 2 weeks, and you were telling the story of how you got out of that coma. You said something about your cousin. You can go
Yeah,
ahead.
he was speaking to me, and I don't know. I heard him talking. I just came out of it, just started talking to him. But I wish that I knew the signs um before I got that far. I wish that I would have been more involved and knew more about domestic violence. See, at that time, by me being so young, I never knew anything about domestic violence.
Do
No,
you
I
think
see.
you took the time out? I'm sorry to cut you. Do you think you took the time out to learn about this person before you went into a serious relationship with him? Do you think that maybe you rushed into the relationship or no?
I didn't know. I know. I didn't. We didn't. I didn't rush into the relationship. We know we dated. We went places. We did things together. Things like that before it even came to cross to be. Before we even started dating. You know,
Mhm.
we
Okay.
we had fun together. We did stuff together. We laughed. We talked. We cut it up, and that's why I said I didn't. That's why I said to you, I didn't notice. I didn't notice a
No
sign.
signs. Right, right. I was right. Yeah. So this happened. Take us through. You were in the hospital. You got out. What happened when you got out of the hospital? Did he still try to contact you?
Well,
Did you
at
guys
first,
become friends after that? Go ahead.
no. At first, he couldn't contact me because I stayed with my mother. My mother took me home with her. My mother took care of me, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But when I did go home, I finally did go home. When I did go home, I had holes in my walls. We had been fighting. Stuff was just tore up in my house and everything. And my oldest son was there trying to put everything back together before I had made it back to the before I had made it back home.
Mm-mm.
Um, when I did get home, my like I said, my kids were young. CPS was called. CPS came.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. I took a test. I passed my test right then on the spot. I passed my test, so that was a factor that was cut out. Um, I talked to the DA all the time. The DA was always contacting me. We was always speaking. They was there taking reports and everything, um, about what was going on, what happened. Um, but let me go back. But before that, um, when we were fighting in the apartment, like I said, the young girls upstairs, they did call the police department. The police did come. Now, when the police came, Miss Carrie, he jumped off the patio because I stayed on the second floor. So he jumped down to the first floor out the patio window. It was an older policeman. He may have
Oh
been about
wow.
yeah, the policeman might be in his late 50s. He ran and caught him.
Mm.
So he was not back on the streets no more after that day that he jumped on me. He was in jail from that day forward. He never did get out.
Oh, he never did? How many
No, ma'am.
he's still in jail to this day?
He's still in jail until this
Oh,
day. Yes, baby. Let me tell you something. You're not
you
gonna put your hands down and think you're gonna just run around free
attempt
and
that's
laugh at
like
you.
attempted murder. Uh, what was he
Yes.
charged with, if you don't mind me
Um,
asking?
he was charged with uh, assault with a deadly weapon. Um, it was a lot of more stuff because he had other petty crimes that he had did before I
So he
knew
had
him.
other warrants out.
Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So so when the CPS lady came up, I did my drug test. I passed my drug test and everything, and so that's when I started getting ready to go to court. Excuse me.
That must
So
have been that must have been a lot for you, Miss Pert, because going through all of that, being in the hospital, things have been changing in your life, your children having to be exposed to, you know, him and his actions. Then on top of that, you have CPS circling your doors and stuff, and your children could have been taken away from you. Thankfully you were able to pass the test and so on and the interviews. That must have been a lot for you to to have to go through.
it was a lot, Miss Carrie. It was a lot 'cause I never went through that. Like I said, I never been through domestic violence. I didn't hang around friends who were violent. My mom, we didn't. I never saw my mom go through that. My dad never put his hands on my mom. You know what I'm saying? So I never knew anything about um, being in domestic violence. I never knew nothing about that. That was something that was totally new to me. And this man tried to make my life hell after he jumped on me. After he jumped on me, he put me in so much hell. And this is what I meant. I mean, by CPS coming over to my house, okay, which I wasn't worried about that because I knew that I was a good mom. I knew that I took care of my kids. So I knew that I didn't have anything wrong with them coming over and giving me no kind of drug test. So I aced that out with no problem. Okay.
And you had to be out of a
Um,
job for 2 weeks
oh,
or
I was
more,
out of a job.
possibly,
Yeah, I was out of a job. I didn't work for about three
all
months.
because of him.
Yeah, I didn't work
This
for
is
three
why I'm
months.
saying you were going through a lot. That's
Yeah.
just a lot to be coming down on one person. Thankfully, you did mention your mom who was there to help you and stuff, but that is
Oh
just
yeah,
a
she
lot
was
to
there.
go through. And you'll
Oh
still
yes.
have to be trying to make ends meet and stuff while you're out of a job, especially because you were in the hospital. Um, but I'm happy that the person was caught. But you can keep going. You were saying
Um.
something before I cut you off.
Okay. So And when I said he making things hard, trying to make things hard for me, but see, he couldn't because I didn't have a record. I had no record. You couldn't make it hard for me. Um, I was even in the system, never been in the system before. So after the CPS lady came, later on down the line, maybe about 2 or 3 days later, he started calling me. Chris started calling me from the jail. Now,
Oh my
Chris
gosh.
Chris would call me, and I'll tell him, no, don't call me. Stop calling, stop calling. And so he would call me so bad. He had other people calling me from jail on a three-way. Had a girls calling me on a three-way. So it had got so bad, Miss Carrie, where I had to contact the DA and tell him how he was just bothering me so bad over the phone. So the DA told the judge had to pull him out of jail and let him know to stop
Mm-mm.
contacting me. He's making his case worse every time he contact me.
He
Okay.
was pretty much harassing you, like, having you in the hospital was not enough. Did he even try to come to the hospital while you were there too?
No, no, ma'am.
Oh
No, he
wow.
didn't. No, ma'am.
This
No, ma'am.
man, all because you told him no, that you didn't want to be with him anymore, he decided to ruin your life. This man,
Yes.
not only did he have you in the hospital in a coma for 2 weeks, he messed up your home. Your children have to be exposed to that with the physical damage, not only that, the emotional stress also. And then the fact that he got locked
Yes,
up,
ma'am.
and
Yes.
he was still harassing you while in jail. He must have had a meltdown or something,
Still
because
harassing
this
me.
could have never
Still
been the
he
same guy
harassing me.
you were
Still
dating
harassing.
who you said everything was cool with,
Yeah.
and he just went off. Tick tick boom.
Right.
So what were some of the things that he said when he
That's
called
right.
you?
Don't don't get him. Don't let. This is what he said. Don't let the white people lock him up. He don't want to be locked up. He was sorry. He didn't mean to do it. He was very apologetic to me. And I just didn't. I just felt like a man should put his hand on a woman. You know what I'm saying? And how wrong that would be. So I just wasn't really just trying to hear his apology. It wasn't registering with me. I didn't accept the apology at all.
And did it seem since, well, you said you didn't accept it. It probably wasn't even sincere because of someone who
Yeah.
loves you, whether or not you decide to break up with him, should never have feel the need that it's okay to put his hand on you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was
Yes.
just too
That's right.
much.
Yes,
So he
ma'am.
stressed you out not only when he was out of jail, but when he was in jail.
In
Mm.
jail. Yeah, and harassed me so bad. It was sad. And then he had his mom calling me. His
Oh
mom
my
was a
gosh.
yeah, his mom was a registered nurse here in Texas. So he had his mom calling me, and I told her that, what her son did, I didn't accept it, because I didn't want a man around my kids that's doing drugs. That's not the kind of life that I chosen for my kids, you know what I'm saying? So by her being a woman, she should have she should have understood that. But I know that was her son, but still by her being a woman, period,
Yeah.
you know, she should have
Yeah.
understood what I mean, a woman with kids, you know. Um After he was harassing me so bad, and the DA told the judge, and the judge talked to him and told him to quit harassing me and how he was just making his case worse for himself. He stopped calling. He didn't call me no more. His mother didn't call me no more because she
Mhm.
seen that I wasn't gonna just um
Roll
just
over and
give
give
in,
in.
right.
Yeah.
So he went to jail. I went to court. I wasn't gonna be where I wasn't gonna go and go to court. But no, I made sure I was gonna go to court. And they made sure. And how Texas is just so not good with domestic violence. They made sure the police department, the DA had the police pick me up every time it's time to go to court. I got picked up. They was always the DA was always at my house, so they
Mhm.
made sure,
Made sure
that
you felt a sense of security.
that's right. That's right. They made
Mhm.
sure I had security. They made sure that um and
I'm happy that you go ahead. Go ahead.
the letters that he wrote me, I turned them over to the DA. And where he was just talking about how the white man lock him up, don't let him get locked up. He was sorry, he didn't mean to do it. Um, that he would fix the things that he had broken. But again, me, I wasn't trying to hurt it because of the fact that I wasn't raised up with domestic violence, and so I didn't believe in that. So I wasn't going to be weakened from words that he had to say, and I'm not. I wasn't that in love where I was so weak where I would, not not press charges. I wasn't nowhere near that weak. You know what I'm saying? And by him talking to me wasn't gonna make me weak. Because I knew what I knew, and how I felt was, should no man put his head on no woman, no matter what go on. And that was my belief.
Exactly. Exactly. This man, not only was he writing letters, not only was he calling you, harassing you while in jail, he was allowing his family to also
Mhm.
harass you to try to sway you. That's crazy. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you like I said before, it must take a strong woman to have to be able to deal with that, plus deal with, you know, other stuff going on in life, just regular day-to-day living, plus having that looming over your head. Someone who
Yes.
you've been with for 2 years had the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall to put his hands on you. Not only that, but to slam you down in on that table like that, enough to
Yes.
have you in the hospital in a coma. What type
Right.
of rage was he in? And what else could that have led to? You know?
Yeah.
Is it that the police came and got you while he was still in the house, or did he? Well, you wouldn't have known because you were in a coma, I guess. But it,
Yeah.
it would have been interesting to know what happened before he left. That is just crazy.
Yeah.
You
It was.
spoke about the DA assisting you. I'm sorry, you were saying something.
I said, oh yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah, you spoke about the DA who helped you with, the sense of security and so on. Um, do you have anybody else in your family? You spoke on your mom earlier on that provided you with any type of support and so on during this time that you were
Oh
experiencing
yeah.
all threats
my
and
my,
so
my
on.
mom, yeah, my mom supported me in going to court. She made sure I got there. She was very upset about it. She didn't didn't wasn't indulgent, and she didn't like the being in domestic violence. My mom was mad. My mom was hot. She was
Must have
talking
been
talking.
shocking for her to hear that, her daughter experiencing something
Yeah,
like this. No
my
mom
mom
wants to hear
was
that.
annoyed.
Right.
My mom was pissed. Yeah, she was really pissed. Yeah. But at the
Yeah.
same time, she knew that I was a fighter. I was a fighter too. So she knew that too. So yeah.
TC, somebody in the chat, I'm hoping you're okay with taking questions or comments from the
Yeah.
chat, asked a question. He says, what was his relationship like with his father?
His father, he never talked about his father. He always talked about his mother. His mother played a big part in his life. His father didn't play a big part in his life. He would
And
always
that
speak for
that
him.
may have
He had a stepfather too though, but he never talked about his father. It was always his mom, his mom, his mom.
oh, okay. There you go, TC. And sometimes, when males don't grow up with a father figure in their life, these are some of the things that happen. Well, unless those father figures are just like Diddy. But I'm just saying, it's really
Yeah,
important for males to have their father in their lives. They need to show them how to be disciplined, because the mom, as strong as the women are, they cannot play the role of both parents. It doesn't matter how people say, I was the father and the mother of my child. No, the child needs balance, you know? I'm just
yeah,
saying. So maybe that may have contributed to, how he was responding to having a relationship with women. Fathers need to
Yeah,
help
yeah,
to promote, inner growth and strength for their son. They play a role in their social developments. They help them to develop self-esteem, well-being, and so on. So I'm just saying it's very important, just as the mothers are supposed to be in the daughters' lives, so too is the father, because
yeah,
their absence can hinder any type of development, from childhood to adulthood. All right, so
yeah, yeah.
thankfully,
Maybe his mom was into a lot of domestic violence when he was growing up. Maybe he seen that in his household when he was growing up
quite
with
possibly,
domestic violence.
quite
Yeah,
possibly, he may have experienced it with his father, and maybe that's one of the reasons he didn't talk about it. Who knows if the next relationship with his stepfather that his mom got into, if that also had he was if he was also seeing domestic violence happening around him every day. It's something may have that anger bottled up inside of him. Let me see. A view said lots of women have shown us they are capable of doing violence to their lovers. Yes, they do. You listen. The domestic violence happens not only with male to female, it also women also do that. Somebody else in the chat spoke on it earlier on, Red Wings. He said he was in an abusive relationship with a with one of his exes. He's in the chat right now. So it actually does happen that women also, engage in those acts too. I'm just saying. And yes, hey
yeah,
Kai, abuse is a cycle. So who knows if that is what he grew up seeing, you know? And Lush Gang, Mama,
right,
that's your.
right.
She says her father was in a home where his father abused his mother. So there goes the cycle right there. And it's quite unfortunate. And you would
Yeah,
want to think that someone growing up and seeing something and remembering the pain they experienced, you would want to think that they would go in a whole relationship and do the same thing to their partner. It's kind of sick when you really think about it. It's
yeah.
really
It
sick.
it, it is. It is sick. It really is. It really is because, you know, everybody have a right to say no. Everybody have a right to say they don't want to be with somebody. You can't make nobody be with nobody if they don't want to be with you. You know,
Right,
and
right.
I went to court. I did go to court, and when I did go to court, they gave him. He got 25 years in prison.
25 whole years.
He got
Do you
25.
ever at any point wonder like what is gonna happen or how he's gonna react when he gets out? Do you worry about that sometimes?
Oh, it's strange that you say that, Miss Carrie. Let me get to that. I'm gonna get to that. He got 25 years. I was registered with the Texas Board of Correction. When he came up for parole, I was always notified by email. I was notified by phone. What's going on? I was notified by mail. That he's trying to get out. He's up for parole. So, but
Mm.
every time he came up for parole, I want you to know, Miss Carrie, I was there putting my foot on his neck. And I said, I put my foot on his neck. Every time he came for parole, I made sure I had a voice. I made sure I had a voice for a woman with domestic violence, for a woman with kids, for a woman who got pride and joy within herself. I made sure I was there to get every phone call when time came when he came up for parole. Do you understand me? Because he was not allowed by me to get back on the streets and do what he did to me to somebody else. Because that somebody
Right.
else might be able to make it like I made it. Somebody else might not be strong like I was strong. So yes, I made sure every time he came for parole, I voiced my opinion. And my opinion that I voiced to those people, it mattered. If you women get off your behinds and go through the procedure of prison charges to with these men with domestic violence, they will be off the street and they cannot hurt nobody else.
Right? Look at QI saying, "Let's go, let's go." So you're keeping up with every time he is, eligible for parole, and you're making sure that he stays there. I don't know how long he'll be able to stay there, but I do understand that you're making your voice heard, and you are also
Yes,
looking out for those other women who
yes.
may end up having to experience a similar situation. Like, if he goes out here, who's to tell? He may not have been reformed in any way, and he may go right back to doing the same thing and hurting someone else. And not only
Well,
that, he may want to seek some type of revenge on you.
right. So the last talk I had with parole was last year, and they asked me what could be done to make it better. I told him nothing. He need to go to counseling. He need to be a voice to other men who does, who did, who do, who's doing, and has done what he's done. I voiced my opinion when that lady called me. I voiced my opinion when the man called me. And right today, as we speak, this man finally got granted parole. They cannot no longer hold him because he has done all of his time. This man will be released in November of 2024. This man will not be released to Dallas, Texas, but he will be released in Houston, Texas, which is 4 hours from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you
Wow.
may ask me, am I scared? Am I afraid he's going to do anything? No, ma'am, I'm not scared. No, ma'am, I'm not afraid, because in Texas, we have an open and carry law. And at this time, I wish a ninja would.
Okay. Okay, girl. Let them know. She is ready and waiting. You had one chance and it will never happen again.
It would never happen
She is
again.
it'll never happen. She is ready for
I
anything.
would never
And
go
I
through
hope
that
he isn't
again. And you
stupid
making me
enough.
go through that. It's sad.
And I hope
Would you
he
say, Miss
isn't
Carrie?
stupid in and I hope he isn't stupid enough to put himself in that position again. Cuz she is armed and ready, armed and ready. That's what's up. That is what up.
Yes, I'm ready.
You are a brave
I'm ready.
person. If anything, you said you were already a fighter. You're a bold, very fierce person from what I'm hearing. And in some way, you're inspiring other persons who are hearing, whether or not you believe it. There, you never know. You may be, being a source of strength for at least one person who is listening right now, or maybe watching later on, at
Yes.
some other time. But it takes a strong woman to
I mean,
have to
I
deal
was
with
weak.
something like that
I
and
was
still
weak.
prevail. Oh,
Yeah,
your sound
I've
went
gotten
out.
stronger. I through the years, yeah, I've gotten stronger. I'm able to be a voice for other women who are weak. I am a domestic violence survivor, and you know, um,
Talk about some of the places that you've
I don't
gone
know.
to or stuff you've done to help domestic
I'm
survivors,
just
or do you do
basically
it on your channel?
I do the our domestic violence. I talk about it on my channel. I try to reach many people I can reach, because it's out there. Domestic violence is real. It's a live wire. And we have to also remember domestic violence is also, like you said earlier, it's not just about women. We have men who be in domestic violence, but with the men, Miss Carrie, it's totally different. And what I mean by different is men are not more likely to report domestic violence because of their pride. They don't want anybody to talk about them. They don't want to be seen, making charges or going to court for domestic violence for a man. So a man is more likely not to report a domestic violence than what a woman would report. So men, if you're in domestic
Right.
violence, don't be ashamed of speaking up or speaking out about being abused, because there's no right for even a woman to put her hands on a man. You know what I'm saying? Men's got
Nobody should
feelings
be
of
touching
women too.
anyone.
Yeah.
Nobody should be touching anyone. And for those who are hearing Miss Perp right now and you want to see more of what she does on her channel, the link to her channel is in the chat. So go ahead and subscribe to her channel. Take a minute and subscribe. We'll wait. Hold on. Let's take a quick break while we wait for you to go ahead and subscribe to Miss Perp. Okay. Okay. Did you subscribe? I hope you did. So that's her link in the chat. Look at my typo in the chat. Oh Lord, the typos, the typos. But that is her channel in the chat. And I'm hoping that you go through to her channel and here goes the link again. Check her channel out. Okay. New subby. Ooh, you got a new subby girl. Okay,
All right.
thank you so much, DC. And I'm pretty sure you'll get more people who want to see more and hear more of what you've been doing. Especially, I know TC would have an interest in some of the stuff you do. TC is also someone who has a lot of resources or access to resource. So if you guys really do get to talk at any point in time, if she visits your channel and stuff, she's always ready to offer advice and so on
Oh,
stuff like
great.
college and all of those types of stuff. So she'll be the best person to talk to you when it comes to gathering resources. Um, do you think that being in a domestic violence situation has affected your relationship with other people, or whether it's with your family, whether it's with dating other men, or just having another male figure around your children, especially at that time when they were younger?
I didn't date too much anymore. But when I did date, it took a while for me to even just go out to eat with them. It took months before anything I even just want to go out with anybody. But it may have once I got out of the hospital and got my life back together, it took me a while to even date because I felt like, you know, I'm not gonna have. I just can't have anyone just abuse me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't raised up being abused. I don't like violence. I don't like to be jumped on. Um, I don't feel that it's right for a man to jump on a woman, blacken her eyes, abusing her just so bad where she can't even open her eyes. She can't move her body being so sore. That where she can't speak. She's scared. She can't speak for herself. And then when it's like that, we need a voice, because you got women that won't do anything. They won't report anything. So I had to be the one to report it to make myself be strong because I don't want to be beat on anymore. I don't want that person to do that to anybody else. You know what I'm saying? So I had to be strong and survive, and I had to be strong enough to be able to report it, and I had to be strong enough to be able to speak about it and be able to reach somebody else who's been broken down in domestic violence. So that's what made
Yeah.
me talk about it. That's what made me so strong and to
And I
talk to
could scratch my next question out because I was gonna ask you if you think it has affected your self worth, especially being beaten on and the bruises and stuff. But you've mentioned more than one times that you are a strong person, and it kind of made you even stronger even after that happened
right.
to you. So that question is scratched out. What advice would you give to other women, or not only women, because males, because you did see that there are a few people here in the comment section that they are males and said that they have experienced that also. What advice would you give to others who may be experiencing or have experienced domestic violence?
My I would say that if you're trying to get out of domestic violence, you can't be friends with the same friends that he's friends with. It's not gonna work.
Right,
Those
right.
friends might not see the same thing. They might be more closer to him than they are to you. They're his friends, but you were introduced through him. You were introduced by him to other people. So You got to get away from our friendship that you have with any friends of his. You have to get away from things that places that he would go, you and him would go, or that he would know you would go. You have to go, you have to change your route, your route of thinking, your route of where you're going, and the route of how you living. Um, you have to get that one friend. It's one friend. Get that one friend that he don't know. Get that one
Right.
friend that he don't know where they live or where they work, so he can't intimidate them. You see what I'm
That's a
saying?
good one. That's a good one. So let me see. Let me make sure I'm keeping up. The first one you
Okay.
said was to not have the same friends as he does. You cannot
Right.
keep the same friends. And the
Right.
second one was to make sure that you have friends that he doesn't know. You have to have at least one friend that he doesn't know anything about.
Yes.
And give me
Yes.
the reason why you said that.
Because to get that one friend that he don't know anything about, that way he can't intimidate them. He can't ride by their house. He can't harass you. You can get a good, decent sleep. You can get a way of thinking that, and that would be your safe haven. That person is going to be your safe haven. You know,
Right.
that you're just gonna be
And
there with, with open doors, and you have to be scared about coming outside. You think, he might be outside, sitting outside waiting on you. He done found this
right.
out. Get someone that he don't know. He never even
Mm,
heard of. He ever never even discussed with him before. That's why I say that. That way you have a safe living of moving around at that time, trying to get your business taken care of, protection orders, put your protection order in place. You know what I'm saying? If you have to go get you some protection, you know, if you got to change your child's school, if you're in a relationship with kids, change your kids' schools. You know what I'm saying? Have a talk with
right.
your kids about what's going on so they won't say too much, things of that sort. Things like that, um, you have to have your resources for your 800 numbers where they can give you resources and places to go. Sometimes the 211 is just not enough resources. You have to go to other places that's set up for this kind of domestic violence that have other resources that the 211 may not have. You know, um, if you have to change jobs, do so. If the job has another place, they can send you to transfer you to another job in the same area, in the same position. You can do that. You have to do a lot of things in your life to protect you and your kids, or just protect yourself. You know, and and make sure your parents are aware, your siblings are aware. Your relatives are aware of what's going on. Don't leave them in the dark. You got to make sure you prepared on all ends.
Right, I got you. I got you. I'm not sure if there's anybody else in the chat who would like to ask Miss Perp any questions. Let me know. Feel free to do so because a lot of people were sharing. I think I also dropped the link. If you're okay with anyone coming up, let me know.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't. I did. What's her name? Did Lush Gang Mama? Do you want to come up? Because you were speaking about some of your experiences with your mom and stuff. Who experienced domestic abuse also. And Red Wings, you're free to come up too so we can get a male's perspective. Okay. Is there
Yeah,
any question you
yeah.
think I may have left out that or something you would have wanted to speak on, Miss Purple? Let me know.
No, just don't be. Let me just build some of my kings and queens up right quick. You know, there's no need to be shame of being in domestic violence. It's not your fault. You didn't start anything. There's no reason for you to be down. To make yourself, to put your self esteem down. It's not you. It's your abuser's fault. You know, your abuser
That's
need
right.
help.
Always
Don't
remember you
put
are the
yourself.
victim,
Yes,
not the abuser.
yes,
Because sometimes they tend to want to make you feel, some type of pity for them. I apologize.
right.
Apology is not enough. If you did it once, you'll do it again.
That's correct. That's
There's a
correct.
question in the chat for you.
Okay.
Well, two persons wanted to know if you were able to get any form of therapy since this happened
Yes,
to you.
I did get therapy. as time went on, maybe about a year later, as I come from being going through so much, I did go through domestic violence. I did have therapy, and by me having therapy, um, when you go, sometime when you go to therapy and you going for your reason, you think your reason just so bad. My reason just so bad. I need therapy, but when you get in that class with other people, your problem isn't so bad as the other people problems are. Somebody always has it worse than you.
Speak
Somebody was
truth.
not as strong as you were. I did not come out, still with the, being bright when never going through domestic violence. So, yes, ma'am.
So a lot
I
of
had
people
I
you
had
never
counseling.
know.
I had to go through counseling.
And that was one of
Yes,
the things that was provided
yes.
for you also. Okay. You
You
don't
think your
notice.
problem is bad, you just never know how worse the person.
Sure, right. And we've been talking about your experience, and for you, you experienced physical abuse or physical violence. But I want for persons who are listening to understand that there are different forms of domestic abuse. You may be living in a household with someone, and
Yeah,
because they don't physically abuse you, it doesn't mean that they don't abuse you in other ways. You have to remember there's also people who experience things like social abuse, and you may not think of it as anything, bad, but there are men or women who actually encourage you or force you to not have connections with your family or your friends, or to be able to go out and socialize with the community. There are those in those relationships, what they do is try to damage your relationships with others, so he or she is the only person you can interact with. So there is social abuse, and these are also people who try to ruin your reputation. There is also sexual violence. You have some women, and I'm doing this and I'm thinking about this whole situation with Cassie and a lot of other women who have been experiencing this, who also are victims to sexual violence because their bodies are violated, so they experience sexual assault also. And it doesn't have to be just sexual contact. You have some of them who would also have you. There are people who are in relationships and their partner are turning them into prostitutes, and these women, because they want to please their partners, they do it. So there is that too. There is psychological abuse, there is emotional abuse, there is financial abuse. The psychological one, it's maybe just as painful as the
yeah,
physical one. Because these men or women, I have to say that too, they threaten you, they coerce you with different tactics because they want to control the way you think. You know, it also involves
yes,
verbal
ma'am.
abuse, there's emotional abuse when, they don't care much about your feelings. They try to control how you feel, they try to damage how you view yourself, so they undermine you a lot and make you feel as if you're worth nothing. And like I was saying earlier on, that there is financial abuse. You got some men who you waive their money over the woman, so they want the
Hmm.
woman to be financially, well, not only the woman, because women do that too, want for their partner to be financially dependent on them. They may stop them from going to work, stop them from
Yeah,
being able to go to school to, accomplish something, to be able to get degrees or a certificate, something. So they will prevent you from being, in a position where you can make your own money. So you have to wait on them hand and foot for money, so they want you to be dependent on them. So when we're talking about domestic abuse, don't think of it only as the physical abuse. Think about the different ways in which you in your household can be abused, and you still have to speak out about it. You still have to speak out. If you can't speak out, and you have to get away from it, you have to find someone who you can speak to. You have to find the resources, you have to find the time, and you have to get out of it before it's too late. I'm just saying. So it's not only the physical ones that you're supposed to pay
Yeah,
attention to.
yeah, and they, well,
Ooh.
and the ones also about the ones like with the kids with the relationship with children and with the domestic violence with children involved. That's
Mm-hmm.
that weighs heavy on the kids. The kids trying to go to school. They trying to learn, but they can't learn. They can't concentrate in school because they at home worried about their mom or they worried
Mm-hmm.
about the is going on within the household, and sometimes the missing balance gets so bad to where the parents start putting their hands on the kid. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right. They become frustrated
that
and
way,
they take their anger out on the children too.
right,
That is
right. So
it's a cycle.
get some kind of help. Don't allow your kids to go through the missing balance. Do you realize what it's going to do to them as they get older? Trying to get into a relationship as young men or a young woman trying to get in a relationship in the 10th grade, just a little boyfriend, girlfriend, 11th grade, 12th grade. We want to get grown, try to be in a relationship to get married and have a household full of kids, but they can't because they still being affected about um, the domestic violence being at home when they was small kids, and that's something they never got over. And going to counseling is very important to have when you go through domestic violence, when you're going through a lot, and especially when you got kids, because your kids also need to be involved into counseling as well, because of the domestic violence as well. So you
Right.
got to strong as a woman, or stand strong as a man, and fight the fight of domestic violence, because you do have some domestic violence survivors who are out there that will be a safe haven for you. That will be more than a resource that will help you out. They will be there for you for emotional support. You got somebody out there to help you. So don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed and say, I'm too ashamed to say anything about it. I don't want to say no, I want nobody to know. This problem is, don't nobody want to let nobody know. That's why it gets so bad, because don't nobody want to let nobody know.
Yeah. Pride. It's the pride. 1 second, I have somebody in the back. Hold on. Is that you, Red Wings?
Yeah, it's me. It's me.
Welcome. Thank you for coming up. And if there's anybody else who wants to come up to whether you want to contribute to the conversation by giving your experience or you just want to ask Miss Perp any questions, please let me know. And the link is right there. Let me remove this thing. Welcome, Red Wings. What's going on?
Hello.
No, I mean this is very interesting, and all I was trying to say is that people don't understand that sometimes you have these women out here, especially nowadays, with the influctuation of what's called the butch made woman. I'm 50 years old, so I don't mean to upset nobody, but these women think that they can just jump up in any man's face nowadays and don't expect to get their jaw dislocated.
Mm-hmm.
You have these women going around here, and I have no difficulties with homosexuality at all. But these women going around here grabbing their crotch like they actually have a dick now. I mean, a penis. But they feel that they are more masculine than somebody who is actually a real man.
Right, right. Yes, sir, Mr. Red Wings. A woman cannot, I don't care what a woman say. I don't care who you are and a woman is not built to beat a man. A woman is not built to out strong, put this out strong a man. A woman is not made for that. A man can whoop a woman at all times if he put his strength and his time to it. A woman cannot beat a man. I'm telling you.
But even in male on male, I'm 5'10". My brother is 5'6", but he's a martial arts expert. He will take me out. Even though he's smaller than me, he can fight. He's a fighter.
Right.
I'm sorry, I had
There's
to.
a difference. But you got these women out here thinking, and then okay, I'm gonna jump up in the face of a man who's 6'7", 330 pounds, and then when he dislocates your jaw, I seen it. Your jaw sitting there because he's drunk, he's pissed off, and you're challenging him. But when he dislocates your jaw, now you want to be a woman again. Chill the fuck out.
Ooh, you're
Right.
speaking like something happened. So, but
Right.
I do
Oh, I've
understand.
seen it. I've seen it. Unfortunately, I've seen it. I've seen it.
I've,
Okay. So
I
some
mean, when I was my days, look, my days of hanging out on college campuses. I didn't graduate from no college, but hanging out at the bars and seeing these people jump up against a football player who's 6'7", 6'8", and these women jumping in their face, and the dude would just say, "Sit down, little girl," and they keep coming back. Stop it! You're not that. I've seen it. You're not a man.
I get QI is in the chat. QI says you're speaking to her.
Hold on, look. Hey, I pick my
He says,
battles
I
at
don't
five
grab my
ten.
crotch. What are you talking about? I don't grab my crotch. My crotch. But anyways, Red
Well,
Wings. Back
look. At I'm sorry. At 5'10", I'm not.
oh, your sound went out, Red Wings.
Lord have mercy.
I didn't hear you because your sound went out. But back to the story though, Red Wings. You were saying something about a female who you were with and that you also experienced domestic violence with that person. You want to talk about that real quick?
Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you.
You can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what happened was I was dating a woman, and I'm driving, and she got mad at me. I'm behind the wheel. It's me, whatever. But she hit me in the face. I pulled the car over and
Red
said,
Wing, hold
"If I
on, hold
hit you."
on. Red Wing, your sound went out for a little. I don't know what happened, but it went out for a few seconds. So you said you were driving, and what happened?
I was driving the car and she punched me in the face because I said something she didn't agree with. So if
God.
I told her, if I punch you back, guess what? My brothers are going to kick my ass because we don't hit women.
Mm. And what happened after that?
I took her home. That's it.
Mm.
You don't. I'm driving a car. You punch me in the face because you can't control your emotions, and you think you bad enough to. You're gonna hit me in the face while I'm driving.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you decided to take her home and not fight with her. Mm-mm.
Because see, I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of my brothers. Had I responded, my brothers would have fucked me up because we don't hit women over here.
Right, right. Well, I'm glad you didn't. You should have also, you know what? If
No,
the
let me
if
tell
the
you, had
roles
I
were
wrecked the car,
reversed, if the roles were reversed, she would have gone and reported you. So maybe you could, you should have also done the same thing too to,
no, the best
keep
thing for
yourself
me to
safe.
do was just to take her home because had I wrecked the car, it would have been a bigger issue. So look, get your little ass out. Get your little. You a hothead.
Oh Lord. What do you think about Miss Perp's story that she's been talking about so far? What do you think about it so far?
Personally, I can say if it gets to a point where you have to put your hands on anyone outside of self defense, you've lost already. I don't have to hit you.
Okay.
Now,
So you were okay. Hold on. Let me make sure
no,
this is
no, no, no.
correct.
Wait a minute, real quick.
Is
I
that you,
will say when
QI?
we
In the
Okay.
building.
All right, go ahead. Welcome, QI. We
no,
have Red Wing and Miss Perp up here.
Mm-hmm.
oh, hello.
Salute.
Go ahead,
What's
Red
her name?
Wings.
Purple. Her name is Purple.
Miss
what
Perp.
I'm saying, hold on. What I'm saying now, as far as playing hockey, hockey fighting is traditional. We drink beer, we knock each other's teeth out, but that's hockey. But outside of that, we don't fight each other. Those of us who have taken martial arts and stuff like that, we understand. We don't want to strike nobody out of anger. You learn how
It's
to control
against the
that shit.
law.
Well,
Yeah, it's
and it's
against the
against the law
law.
too. It is against the law too. You're right. You're correct.
Mhm.
I get it.
But what's your
Um,
name? Like, let's get. I
did you
just want to
subscribe to
first.
her? Why did you see her link in the chat?
I
I hope
most
you
def.
subscribed.
I most definitely did. You know I did.
Okay,
Thank you,
good.
ma'am. Thank you.
But I would like to say I really do appreciate the fact that you came and with your pure heart told your story. There are so many people out here that need to hear this because there are a
That's
lot of
right.
people who've been through these situations, yet they've been shamed to not come forth and speak about it, therefore not getting any help. And we're passing on this cycle of abuse from generation to generation. And that's our problem.
Yes, ma'am.
So I really do thank you for coming forward and telling your story. And you, I mean, and I could tell that you're getting therapy. And I am excited to subscribe to your channel because I know you have a lot of good things to bring forth. Because I just checked out the little stuff that you had done, and and I saw and I see where you're gonna end up going once you get the feel and everything like that. So yeah, I'm excited to subscribe to your channel. We need more content creators like
And
yourself.
her channel is
Just be
steadily growing.
hmm just be careful about personal information because like when I first came on, it was like, well, I'm just going to say just be careful about your circle and just be careful about, personal information. But other than that, you good to go. Do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I thank you very much. And you're right. A lot of women don't talk about it. They're ashamed, and men's are ashamed. And I'm like, why are we ashamed to talk about it? Because when the pandemic hit, it was more domestic violence than anything. Domestic violence went to a high rise when pandemic hit because it was more people at home dealing with their
Right.
kids and the husband, and they couldn't
Frustration
take it, and they yeah. So a lot of that went on. It went
and
on a lot
annoyance.
around pandemic time. Yeah, it went into a high rise.
And for some places, sexual assault also peaked during that time when
Yes,
most people were at home. It was quite unfortunate. COVID has its pros and its cons. Um, I wanted to find out. I don't know if is your friend still coming up, Miss Perp.
ma'am. Am I what coming up?
I thought you said a friend of yours was gonna come up.
I hadn't talked to her today. Yeah, my co-host. I hadn't talked to
Oh,
her today, but
okay,
she also been in domestic violence. But
okay,
domestic
okay.
violence can come from a toxic relationship. Domestic
Mm,
violence can come from somebody being jealous of you, or jealous or controlling. Domestic violence can
mm-hmm.
come through from you can get PTSD from domestic violence. You can get mental illness from domestic violence. It's a lot of things that you can get with domestic. It's a lot of things that come along with domestic violence.
Right. There's a
And
question
But
in the
either
chat.
way, can I say something real quick, Carrie? The best way to avoid any type of conflict is to walk away. Because if I don't engage with you, there's no conflict. But if I engage with you the way I will fuck you up. Honestly, it is what it
okay,
is. So I step away. Excuse my language, but that's real talk.
okay, Red Wing, I get what you're saying, right? Okay, we're gonna have a discussion because I overheard everything that you said while I was in the chat. All right, here's the thing: you're coming from one perspective. You're coming from one perspective. You're coming from like a male perspective, right? But there's a whole nother perspective. And not I don't even really want to say a male perspective. What I want to because there are a lot of mental illnesses or psychological disorders that can contribute to that either way, either gender, right? But you're coming from a perspective of like it starts initially. Like she said, She didn't see any red flags at first. There was no red flags because a lot of times, especially somebody with uh, um, the behavioral issue of narcissistic personality type, they're charming at first. They're very charming
Mm.
to the point where like you almost like but and then it comes a point where they take off their mask, and when they take off their mask, that's when you see who they really are, really are. So like I get what you're saying, like walk away and all of that. That's true. Just like you were saying that, like because I'm a stud or whatever, blah blah blah. I don't initiate conflict with anyone. Normally people, it's like, but I have a right to defend myself. So if nobody
Mhm.
initiates conflict with me, then I'm just not going to initiate conflict with them. But I do have a right to defend myself. Just like, for instance, you sort of put me in a box, right? And so, like, I'm even coming up here to defend myself with the box that you put me in. I'm still not trying to be
How do you know he was
confrontational.
talking about you? Wasn't he speaking generally? Why?
Well, like, whether, okay, if he was speaking generally, I fit the description.
Okay, let's
So if
not go there because we have a guest tonight. So let's not go there. Let's
Okay,
put this
yeah,
focus
but
back
I'm just
on the
saying.
topic
So
at hand and Miss Perp, who
yeah,
is giving her time to
I'm
us
just saying
tonight.
you can't. We can't look at everything like it's black and white. That's what I'm trying to say. That's all. I'm not trying to fight or argue anything like that. I'm just saying that everything is not black and white. I'm not like the next stud or lesbian that you may have met or whatever. The problem is people think that I am, so therefore sometimes they approach me in that manner. But that's really not me. I'm cool. I have a lot of male friends. I have like I get along with men. We do a lot of the same things. We watch football. We chill.
Okay,
We have
hold on,
fun. So it's like
hold on.
I'm not like so like I don't, and I'm normally not around people that I have conflicts with, and they will fight for me. So it's like it's not like that. But if a
Okay,
person disrespects
let's
me,
hold on, hold on. I heard you.
okay,
You
I
said
have a
you have
right.
to defend yourself.
I
I
have a
heard
right,
that.
and I'm okay. Okay, I'm a digress.
Right. I don't want to go too far from the topic at hand, but I do get what you're saying that you have to defend yourself. Just like Miss Perp said, she had to defend herself. She fought the battle. Unfortunately, she went to the hospital, but she's still fighting today, and she's still offering help to those who need. There's a question in the chat, Miss Perp, if you're still able to hear.
Okay.
Um, Cly says, "Can we speak to the domestic violence, the person who is involved in domestic violence, and they ask you for help? They get other people involved, but they still end up going back repeatedly to the abuser." And then they end up putting their willing assistant at risk. What do you think about those people, or what do you have to say about those people who they are in this situation where they're experiencing domestic violence? They reach out for help and somebody decides to help them, but they still end up putting these people in danger or this person in danger because they continuously go back to their abuser.
That person,
You want me to put
I
it on
wouldn't
the
say,
screen?
I wouldn't say don't stop. I wouldn't say stop giving them help. I'll say continue, could be continuous and still give them help. Um, I, I don't know, anyone, me personally, I don't know anyone that like to be beat up like that. But but you do have some women that like being beat on. And I guess it's just no change for those women, but for a woman that do want to change it, that's just not liking to be beat on or being cussed at and called bees and hoes, and take things taken away from them, they independence taken away from them. They're gonna fight for the right. They're gonna fight for what's right for them and what's right for the kids. But someone who's continually going back and forth and going back and back and back and not trying to get counseling and not sticking to the gun of being a woman that's being abused is not cause for. Um, there's no hope for her. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think I could just say it's just still be there for that person, be a continuous person, just be there for
It's
them to
kind
give
of
them resources and talk to them.
it's kind of hard. I've experienced this before with someone, and she would call me. I remember I was home one day and she called me to tell me about something that was happening at her home. I rushed to her home. I handed her something. I won't say what it was. And I was genuinely concerned for this person, thinking, do you want to come stay with me? Okay, it's your apartment. Why don't you tell him to leave? She took me through an emotional roller coaster, because every time she'd be calling to tell me something was wrong, I would either be on the phone with her for hours, or I'd be going to her home and stuff, or she'll, call and tell me she doesn't feel safe. But once she claims, okay, so she'll get to a point where she tell him to he has to leave, and he leaves the house. And I'm saying to her, that's good. That's good that you did that. Now you can take your time to heal and be okay. And then I'll just see her one day and see both of them riding in the car like nothing happened. It becomes so stressful, and stressful for people who want to support you and want to see the best for you, to continuously be there helping you, and you keep going back to the abuser.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's really hard for the person who is helping. You want to be there for your friend, you want to be there, but every time you're helping and you think you've made one step, closer to the person being okay, they keep going back. And that is really hard. And not only that, they can get you physically harmed, because some men don't like that. Some men don't like that.
Right.
They say, "Why are you interfering in our relationship? Why are you coming in?" Or they'll hurt you. They'll try to find ways to harm you too.
That's correct.
So it is kind of hard. You want to be there for your friends, but then again, you want to make sure that you are safe and that your family is safe, because you don't want to get hurt. So it's kind of a sticky situation sometimes, to be quite honest. And there are some people who are of the impression that, what, never go in the middle of somebody's relationship, because when their heads touch the pillows, they don't care about you after that. I've always heard that growing up.
Right. Right.
It's kind of
And
hard.
like Mr. What's his name is Mr. Red Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know the answer that I have, but I just want to ask. I just want to know the answer that Mr. Red Wing have and Miss QI have. When you're in a relationship and you and the guy or the woman, y'all live together. I'm just saying woman. I've seen women do this. A woman, y'all live together. And when that man said he's tired, he just want to go ahead and move out. He don't no longer want to do the relationship thing. He want to be single. He feel like he can be a better. He can do better as far as with his income, but if he just living alone and things of that sort. So when this man grabs his things together and he's trying to leave out the door, and I've seen women go fighting the man not to leave or don't leave or block the door or start throwing his clothes out the bag or out the suitcase, things like that. And the man gets where he's trying to leave, but the woman's still fighting. So now he got to use his strength as a man to remove her. Do you feel that she's not thinking of the relationship of either what the man could be going on in that man's mind that he's trying to leave? Do you think that there would be a brutal be more of a brutal abuse to the man that she's jumping on him, beating on him, putting his clothes and things out because he's trying to leave? So at this point in time, I feel like when a man's trying to leave, let that man leave because that man can get very violent. Am I correct on that, King and Queen?
Go ahead, Red Wings. I'll go after you. Red Wings. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and answer.
Okay.
Um, okay, like I'm gonna step back just a little bit to the conversation that Carrie was having and the question y'all asked. Why?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm just kind of moving around. I'm here. But go ahead.
Like why? Right? One of the things that we have to look at is that like everybody don't. Everything starts with self, right? That's why we say therapy. And like you
One
said, when you
one
go to
quick
therapy,
second, QI. One quick second. Let me make sure this is Yusuf. Is that you,
Yeah,
Yusuf?
yeah.
Okay.
my boy,
All right.
my
Welcome,
boy,
Yusuf.
hey Yusuf.
Hey,
She was about to answer a question. Thank you for coming up.
my pleasure.
Go ahead,
So
Brother
QI.
Youssef, brother Youssef, good to see you, man.
You too, Red Wings. I'm listening.
like we're saying, abuse is a cycle. Like she said, she went to therapy, right? You go to therapy and you realize it's much deeper, right? Because you
Right.
see that it's like it's generate. A lot of times this is generational stuff, right? So if
Yes.
you come up in a household that cycles of abuse, if you come up in a household and that's all you've seen every day, and that sort of becomes your norm, right? So in a lot of ways, these people be thinking that that's love, like any type of attention, any type of anything to them can look like love, right? That's because they haven't gotten therapy, and then they haven't realized that they're worth more than somebody putting their hands on them. Because just like if a like why would you want to keep a person who says that they don't want to be with you? Because basically, if a man is saying that he's walking out the door, he or a woman, anybody, if anybody is saying that they don't want to be with you, that's what it is. You can't force somebody to
Right.
love you. You can't force somebody to be with you, and you deserve better.
Right.
So you're right, let them go, but it's all because of what they feel about themselves inside. And I
Hmm.
digress from there.
You're right.
What was the question? I want to answer it. Carrie, Carrie, can you hear me, Carrie?
Brother Youssef, I hear you. I can hear you on my end. You sound
Oh,
very
go ahead,
strong.
Yusuf. I hear
Okay.
you.
I was trying to make sure
Yeah.
Carrie know that I'm streaming because I'm already streaming. I got a show to do right after this, and it's on
Okay,
a
I'm sorry.
specific.
I stepped away, so I had to run to unmute. What
That's
were you
okay.
saying?
I just wanted to make sure it's okay because I already started streaming my stream that I got for later, and I cover these topics a lot. So this discussion from just
Hmm.
my part, I wanted to make sure I had it already because they delete a lot of stuff. So just so you
Hmm.
know that I'm streaming.
That's okay. I turned it on today. That's okay.
Thank you. Oh, I'm just on my phone regular on my regular show anyway, so I'm just going to cover my topics after this, which are domestic violence related. So,
Okay.
um, and I just came here at the tail end, so I just wanted to join the discussion because this is something I'm very passionate about. Miss Perp, what was your question again about the woman? Is
Um.
that bad? She Did she beat
Yeah.
the man
When
up?
a man. Yeah. When a man is trying to leave. When a man is trying to leave out the door, you have some women's with poor men clothes out the bag, or they'll try to start fighting because a man want to leave, or start being real mouthy.
Right.
Is it fair to that man to be put in that position to where he had to fight his way out to make him be put in a domestic violence part?
Oh, no. And I will also venture to wonder if domestic violence was a part of it before because she wouldn't feel comfortable putting her hands on him if he didn't put his hands on her before. Now, that's just me thinking that, but I could be absolutely wrong. And there's a lot of different
Yeah.
situations. So each situation is different. Yes, it's wrong for a woman to try to hold a man from going, just like it's wrong for him to try to hold her. But a lot of times, those women that put their hands on a man on the way out the door, it's the same risk for her when she's finally ready to leave from domestic violence. So we would be wrong to say that it's not abuse. So it's definitely abusive. And yes, a woman can overpower a man. And if he let her, she could beat him down. But it's a lot of different factors, and it should be equally looked at. as abuse all across the board. Rather, a man hit a woman or a woman hit a man. And I also seen a lot more instances of the man hitting the woman. So even though we see those instances of women hitting the man, it's not to be minimalized at all. But it is definitely a different dynamic, you know, because like um, yeah, that's just my final answer. It all depends. It's a different dynamic, and yes, it's wrong.
But at the end of
I
the day,
agree.
abuse is abuse. And it could be
Yeah,
from
Mhm.
female to male, male to female. At the end of the day,
right.
abuse is still abuse. And some women think it's okay for them to put their hands on males because,
And it's not
males are not expected to hit them back or whatever.
right,
But at the end of the day, abuse is abuse. And what you don't want for yourself, don't do it to somebody else. Hey,
right,
chill
Just like
out.
it's not good for two women whether you're in a relationship or not, or two men whether you're in a relationship or not, to put their hands on each other, each other. But so that's abuse as well. So we have to, like we're saying, we really do need to start looking at it all the way around the board, whether it's an interpersonal relationship or a non-personal relationship.
yeah, it should be started to be taken more seriously on both sides because even if we start holding the women accountable more who are in those abusive spirits, it's still going to have to be checking the men too. So men and women need to stop hitting each other. Anybody in domestic violence is dangerous.
Exactly.
Like you, I said, gays go
Exactly.
through it, lesbians go
One,
through it, trans go through it, everybody goes
Right.
through it.
Everybody.
one
Right.
second. Is this you, TC?
It is.
Okay. Hey, and welcome.
ATC.
Hello.
Hey,
Good.
TC, the crew's
Good.
out here.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for this wonderful, much needed conversation. Hello.
Absolutely. And it's on both sides. It don't
Shout
matter
out to
whether
Miss
it's a
Sharp.
man or a woman or two men and two women or whatever. It's still someone who's the aggressor and there's still someone who's the victim, you know? And so that needs to be
Hmm.
compartmentalized as well. Right upon seeing what it is, you know who's the victim and you know who's the abuse. And there is a such thing as people who abuse each other. But that's why I said I don't see a lot of cases where women who hit men for too long, eventually he'll sock her ass back. So
Right.
it's either that or they've been fighting each other and she already ain't scared of nothing and she's already, battered herself. That's the most of the times where I see women hitting. I see a couple little crazy women who can't control themselves, but for the most part, it's women who already been getting beat and who's ready to hit him back. And they feel like, well, you do it to me.
Right.
But see,
I,
brother Yusuf, what you said is what I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said as far as the amount of going back at someone or defending yourself. Say, for instance, if someone comes into my home and I got an arsenal of weapons, and this person is breaking into my house with a pocket knife, does that mean I can pull my AK-47 and shoot up the whole block because this person has a knife? Understand, I'm using my AK. I might miss this person and hit innocent people behind me, but where does abuse fit the crime? You're breaking in my house with a baseball bat. See, stand your ground laws got black folk thinking you can just pull a gun and, oh yeah, I'm going to deal with you. You come to my house. Wait a minute. If you come to my house with a baseball bat, I'm coming at you with a 12 gauge shotgun. Does that mean if I miss and shoot an innocent person behind you, who's going to jail? We're not matching. The punishment has to fit the crime.
Right. And we also got to teach a level of intolerance as well. We have to show by example that it won't be tolerated. When a child grows up witnessing domestic violence, they need to see the victim get away. They need to see the victim triumph and get help. They don't need to see them deal with it and just deal with it. And then, because a lot of
They
people are
too as
getting
well.
abused, a lot of people are getting abused and they never leave. They either get unfortunately unalived, and if not, they wait until they get not only used, abused, and battered, and then the person leaves them.
And thankfully, we have a strong person here, Miss Perp, who, she was sharing
Mhm.
her experience earlier on, and she's one of those who she experienced only once, and she never went back. She never looked back. She never felt sorry for him, even when he was trying to call her from jail and stuff. She never went back into the relationship. And I'm saying, you know what? Thumbs up for that, Miss Perp, because there are a lot of women who allow these men to play mind games on them. And even though
Yes.
they batter and abuse them, the woman
But it's
still
not
goes back.
just men, though. Let's understand, it's not just
And
men.
woman, I'm just talking about her
Mhm.
situation
People,
right here.
abuse is abuse. It's no gender on abuse.
Right,
Yeah,
but
but I'm
we
speaking
do have to be
specifically about her
realistic.
situation.
We have to be realistic and honest though about the disproportionate thing. We can two things can be true at once, so we can definitely give credence to that and honor that, but also we cannot lose sight of the fact that the most domestic violence situation is when a woman is being battered by a man. That is the most one, even out of the gays, out of the lesbians, out of the trans, out of the everybody.
Mhm.
Women are the ones getting battered the most, and so
And
that's
brother
when.
Youssef, brother Youssef, I will not challenge you. I agree with you, but do you also understand that these women who are claiming to be men are beating on women at a faster pace? I've never fought a girl. Well, I mean, in like elementary school, maybe I did, but can we understand that these
Yeah,
homosexual women who think they're men think that manhood is beating on another woman?
but they
Can
saw
we?
that. Yeah, I agree, but it's for several reasons.
Yusuf,
It's because
let
they
me
see
speak
it.
to that.
Well, go ahead.
Let me speak to that.
Okay,
All right. I'm not abusive. I don't believe in beating on any woman. I protect every woman in my family, whether it be, like siblings or whatever. All right. Now you're right. There are some women that do that, but I'm gonna tell you, in the case of the LGBTQIA, a lot of times it is the studs that are getting abused. So,
that's true.
you're saying you
That
look
is
like a
true.
man. You're saying look like a man. That's because you're associating it with that. You're not
Okay, so let
associating.
me ask you, ma'am. Let me ask you, real talk. Let's define things. A stud is generally a male who can produce something. In the whole animal world, a stud is a male. How does a woman become a stud? You
Okay,
Because
don't.
it's a
If I'm
how it
hold on,
was,
wait a minute. If I'm studying out,
how it
if I'm studying
was.
out a dog, I'm studying a male Rottweiler, a male pit bull. I'm studying out their semen to make impregnate a female. How does how can I go to the AKC and say I'm studying out a female to produce? Help me understand
all
biologically.
right.
A
Let
woman
me
can
let
be
me
a female dog can be a stud. That's
let me answer
reckless.
that question.
You
Let
will
me
get
answer
laughed
that
at.
question, right?
You're not a stud.
Hold on one second. I see where this is going.
I
I
know.
don't want you guys to be going back and forth. The main person that we're talking to, this is my second time stopping
Right.
this, is Miss
But it
Pearl.
ain't me now.
And
Just know I'm
she
not
did agree.
initiating it.
Hold on. I will allow you two to have your conversations, but just not right now. Because remember, Miss Perp said she was okay with people coming up to join the conversation or asking her
Thank
questions.
you.
But if you're gonna start arguing with each other, that's not a good look.
Yeah. I have a question. I have
Well,
two
I wasn't
questions.
gonna argue. I wasn't gonna
Not
argue. I was
arguing,
gonna
just asking the
educate.
question. I'll calm down.
Just
But
Just
educate.
you
calm
two can
down.
have.
But
You
I'm
two
just
are free.
asking if
You are
I
both
take
free. Hold
I have
on. You
I
Mhm.
have
are
two
both
questions for Miss
free to
Perp.
have that conversation at another time. I'll open up the panel for you if you want
Hmm.
to. But I just want to make sure that we stick to this domestic violence situation here.
I
I have two
agree.
Just
questions for Miss Perp.
okay.
Okay. Miss Perp, thank number one, I just want to say thank you so much for coming up. Your bravery, your just being, on point with everything that you've been talking about as far as not going back. You standing your ground. I have a question about the system. And when when you had to go to the DA's office and other the authority quote unquote officials offices, when you went into the office, what was the, I guess you could say, what was the response, or how did they treat you in order to for you to get and command the respect of what was going on so that you could get them to do what they needed to do? Miss Perp?
You're still muted, Miss Perp.
Okay, there you go. They were picking me up, taking me to the DA's office. They were the one that got me into counseling.
Okay.
They were the one who were also telling me that I don't have to be beat on. It's not right for a woman to be getting jumped on. It was domestic violence. Um, it's an abuse that comes along with our gender and our races, and they would let me know. They were assuring me that it won't happen again. They were assuring me that this person will
Okay.
be prosecuted, that he will not go free, that he's going to do some time. So they gave me a lot of assurance. They gave me resources that I needed for as far as counseling, as far as different churches to go to for meetings and to talk to people to talk to other survivors and things like that. So they were very useful, and they had a lot of sources for me that they gave me for me to move
Okay.
forward.
Let me ask you another question. You know what? I don't want you to tell me your city, your state, none of that stuff. I just wanted to say, your where you are. Is it a major city? Is it a city? Is it a rural area? Or is it
Yes,
like a suburban area? Like
it's a major city.
major city? Okay, okay, okay. I was just wondering because a lot of time resources have a lot to do with being able to get things done and all that kind of
Right,
stuff. So I was just
right,
wondering about that. Okay,
right. That's why
okay.
I know I also have a lot of the phone numbers I give out for resources because
Hmm.
see, a lot of places don't have resources. A lot of people on rural routes that don't have internet or don't have way to get sources that they need as far as for domestic violence.
That's interesting. And one last thing, one last question: were there female authorities, like female attorneys, female police officers, female captains who you came in contact with that were that you deemed helpful? Were
Yes,
they helpful? Okay, okay. That's
yes, they were.
that's a
They were under. He had a lady that if the DA had a lady that was working with him, she was very helpful. Some of her co-workers, they were very helpful to me as well. When I had to make a call, if I had a question, they was there for. They was always someone was always there to answer my question. I had phone numbers. They were very helpful, and the ladies was very helpful. They gave me a lot of resources, and they gave me a lot of
okay.
strength, and they talked to me about domestic violence, about how a woman is not supposed to be abused and how things supposed to go. Because I was very young, I was in my 20s. You see what I'm saying? And they were
Yes.
older ladies, so they talked to me and they gave me sources, and they basically talked to me as if I was their daughter.
Hmm.
Alright, that's good.
I
I'm happy
commend
to
you
know that
because
you were able to get all of that help, because a lot of people experience this and they don't know the first place to go, or some of them are so embarrassed they don't even reach out to anyone, or if people are trying to
Mhm.
reach out they don't take the help because they're embarrassed. So I'm kind of happy that you were able to get the help that you needed, and you also mentioned that you were doing therapy. Was it through them
Mhm.
also that you went to into therapy?
Yeah, they gave me phone numbers that I called around for therapy. I got therapy. I went to therapy. I went to classes where other women was there for domestic violence. And like I said, one when you think that your problem was bad, you don't think just don't know how bad somebody else had the domestic violence. And the women's there, they had more problems than I had. Their story was worse than my story. So I felt like my story was a bad story, but they had they had some bad horrific stories.
Mhm. It,
You
Can
were
I?
saying something?
what one one last question. Okay, go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was asking if you had something else you were saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did. I did, Miss Perp. When you went into your therapy and you had an opportunity to, I think it was like maybe you had group sessions as well
Yes, I did group session. Yes, ma'am.
with
Yes,
other
ma'am.
ladies. Okay, did you
Yes.
find that this domestic violence, domestic violence, it crossed lines? Kind of like what Red Wing and QI are speaking about in terms of sexuality. It crossed lines of race. It crossed lines of socioeconomics. Like it wasn't just poor
Mhm.
poverty people. There were a lot of people who were, had means. But did you see that it crossed a lot of different lines? It wasn't a like one type of
Yeah.
people.
Right.
To
Yeah.
include cattle. It crossed a lot of lines to include cattle. A stud is a bull who
Oh
procreates
my
with a
Okay,
God.
yo,
cow.
yo, yo, Red Wings, Red Wings, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that,
All
Red Wing,
right,
no, no,
man.
no, Red
We're
Wings.
doing an
Lord.
Come
I'm
on.
asking that question for a purpose, like stud and all that stuff. We that's another different kind of
For
conversation.
another time. That's
Right.
for another time.
Really, it is like, come on,
It really
and I
is.
Ooh,
mean, and we will, we can have this conversation, but right now, this is so important,
it's
and
not the time.
and I asked that question because oftentimes, the personification of abuse are black men. You know what I'm saying? Of a certain economic class, and so I just wanted to ask Miss Perp, the women that were there that you saw, like what was, like what would, where did they come from?
There were all women that was that was shocking. And this was a shocker. Now that people who are Vietnamese, they don't do abuse. But it was a lady in there. She was a Vietnamese lady, and you don't I don't hear very much about domestic violence with Vietnamese. And her story was very interesting. Like I said, some stories are worse than what you think, but um, it was all different women. It was some low end. It was some mid class women there, and we might have some a couple high end class women. So it also let me knew that domestic violence was just at in black people's era. It was also in other areas. That's how I found out that domestic violence just only in my culture. It's in other cultures too. Because I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
only domestic violence in the black culture and the mid grade or the poor women culture, but that wasn't true. I found that out. That's why I said when I went in there to the group therapy, I found out that my story wasn't as bad as other people's story was. Like they had other horrific stories than what my story was. My story was nowhere near where they was having problems with their husbands, and some had kids, that they
Mm-hmm.
were going through. The kids, they didn't want to involve the kids. You had some that had been abused 2 or 3 times and went back and forth, and that third time they just put their foot down. They said that enough was enough. They didn't want to be abused anymore. So it was all racist. It was just it wasn't just only just my a person my color there. Like, and it just was a person. Um it was
Mm-hmm.
more poor person view. It was I had a high end view. I had a mid end view. I had a low end view of all
Right.
sorts of the domestic.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have a face. It can happen to anyone of any race, any age,
Anybody?
Yeah.
any sexual orientation, any gender,
Right.
any religion. Once you're in a relationship, it could happen to married couples, unmarried couples, people who are, you can have domestic violence with people who are just dating too, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
all different socioeconomic backgrounds and levels
And
and so
the
on,
seed
and
starts.
education levels.
the seed is planted with the verbal. It starts with the verbal and emotional too. So sometimes the triggers and the signs that you can see early on, you know what I'm saying? But I do want to add something really quickly. That's a full circle, and I'm gonna keep listening.
Okay.
First of all, thank you so much, Miss Perk, for inspiring this conversation, and I admire you for your strength. And I'm so glad and thankful that you got out of your situation. So I'll have some questions too.
You're
Um,
welcome.
but I do want to say now, rather man or woman, because we do know, like we all just covered, so we can all agree that domestic violence transcends race and gender. You know, and that becomes a common denominator there for a lot of it. Like I said earlier, where it's more men hitting on women than there is women hitting on men, and so knowing that that's an issue, we got to realize as men, we are the leaders. And so this is why when it does come to different gays and different stuff like that, people take on the traits of what they see as manhood, what they see as masculinity, what they see being promoted. And so if there's not
Wow.
more positive examples, people who are in between or gender benders are naturally going to take after the negative qualities and attributes of the
Mhm.
group because that's what they put forward. Because we can
Fact.
see and agree that all women of all races deal with domestic violence, but they could come together to shelter and help each other because, like, it's mostly women who open up domestic violence shelters after that and stuff, not a lot of men. And that's of all races. That's not something to just point out for black men and at black men, but us
Right.
as black men, our domestic violence affects our women. So it's our job to do that. And it takes the good men to stop the bad men, for women to have places to go from their brothers or uncles and cousins, even just the next man to come get that Dusty out of her house and all those different things. So it don't got to go to the law, and everybody's more worried about calling the cops on the black man. And that's why. And she'll be worried about calling the cops on the black man and then winds up losing her life by not doing so. And even still, in some cases, when they do. So, knowing that that falls back on the good black men, on the black men who are against domestic violence, to show women and to show other men that that won't be accepted. You see what I'm saying? And naturally, the
Right.
gays, the trans, and all that stuff will follow because we're nothing but your children. I'm gonna put a pin in it there, but it
But
transcends
you,
race and gender.
Now,
but you
And
real
I want
quick,
to say
always,
this.
real quick before I go to bed, I just want to ask all the women in this chat room, where were the men who actually played an important part in your life that either married you or have stood there by the kids you may have or may not have produced with them? Because I will honestly say, I see too many men who walk away from their children. I've been in the hood all my life, and a lot of black men walk away. But I can honestly say I wasn't one. So
Right.
at the end of the day, where are the males? If you have two and three baby daddies, which one of them chose you to be a wife? So, and if it applies, if it don't, but come on, man. As far as men, we need to get better as men. But women, you're producing children with men who leave you alone. So let's choose both ways
Well,
to
you
get better. Good
my
night.
I
to the
agree with
guy.
you.
I agree
It
absolutely,
might
but
be
like,
surprising, Red Wing, but I agree with you.
why did he leave? But yeah,
yeah.
because like the thing is, I would be a trash dude to go lay down with a woman who already has made poor breeding choices and to be baby daddy number four. That would reflect poorly on me and my decision making and my mate choosing as a man as well. You know, because if I see that a woman is, that will be considered, if you in that language, and you would consider, let's say, just a lack of words, broken. So now she's damaged good because she got all these kids now, but you're gonna lay up with her and be baby daddy number six, and then you're just gonna talk about women got all these kids like they created them themselves. So I get what he was saying, but that was a two-sided thing, you know. And a lot of people take stuff too personal when we're having general conversations. Now I know that Red Wings didn't, because he stated before he said his opinion that he understood that those men are out there. So a lot of black men won't even do that. Won't even acknowledge the fact that just because they're not a bad one, that they are outnumbered. and that this is an issue in our community and the lack of accountability where it comes. But it goes back to things like that, where the arguments are always one sided towards the woman and
Mm-hmm.
what the woman did, as if she created a child out of immaculate conception. And she could have 10 kids or whatever. That means that's 10 times that she tried to love a man or that she tried or something and submitted. And y'all not even grateful.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They
But
want to
look,
let
I
the
want to say
woman
this.
look at.
He
Go
didn't
ahead.
wipe her. It
Go
wasn't that
ahead.
she
No, go
wasn't
ahead,
good enough.
Carrie. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Carrie.
it's sad. Like some men want to make the woman look like they are the worst because oh, why? How she have four different baby daddies or five different? Maybe it's the men who were the problem too. Maybe she's the
Right.
one who was trying to cultivate a good relationship, and they just wanted to be out and about, impregnating and leaving her.
But she's
So
in
we
the
can't
territory.
always think. Yeah, we can't always think that a woman having more than one baby daddies means that
A lot of them
they're the
women be
worst.
just looking for love,
Right.
Carrie, in all the wrong
Yeah, and
places.
some of these men are just looking for something different.
Yeah.
They're not looking to settle
Just
down. And
playing,
they're the
just
ones who are
having fun.
causing these women to have all these children. But at the end of the day, it's for both people to make
It's
the
for
right
both.
decision.
Every
Hmm.
At
woman
the
you
end of
lose
the
But let
a
me
day.
child, it's a
let me
heartbreak.
let
And
me
for
say
every
this.
child you
Let
lose,
me
dad, it's
say
a
this.
heartbreak.
Let me say this because we're saying okay, abuse is a cycle. So a lot of
Hmm.
times in abuse, like it takes a lifetime, and sometimes never that. You never completely heal from abuse, right? Because
Right.
Right.
like you get PTSD and all type anxiety, depression, all
Right.
types of things come from that, right? Okay, so if a
Right.
woman, if abuse is a cycle from generation to generation, then we got damaged goods, as Yusef says, right? You get damaged, psychologically, mentally damaged. Then you have children. Guess what we're doing? We're repeating a cycle
Yes.
of damaged goods.
Yep.
And I'm glad you said that.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you said that, Queen, because do you know domestic violence started as young as 15 and 16 years old? It started within that age range of domestic violence within our young peers. What do a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old know about domestic violence? Where do they see it at? Is that something in their household? Is that something that's on their timeline where they they got a line of known of domestic violence, you know. So it started in kids at the age of 15, 16 years old. It started within an early age.
And we
Even
hadn't
Sometimes
earlier
even
than that.
began,
Even earlier
and
than
we hadn't
that.
your
and we
brother
hadn't
beat
even
you up.
began to talk about the SA. We hadn't even began to talk about the SA and all of the other different
Violences.
forms of abuse that
Oh yeah,
happen.
we
You
did.
know,
Where were you when I was listing them out, QI? We did
I mean,
Hmm.
I
finish
was in
I'm
the
them.
just
chat.
telling you.
I
I
I was in the
I
chat, but
listed them all
I
out.
wanted to. Yeah, you did, but I
I
wanted to
wanted to
make
go
it
in
clear.
detail with each of them.
Yeah, I wanted to make it clear that when you say physical, physical mean like we want to make it clear that this is a bad cycle that we need to stop. We all need to do better. Like just like what we
Hmm.
see here in our sector. It's verbal. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes financial, sometimes whatever, but it's still what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's
And a
Hmm.
lot
still
of
what it
people
is.
looking
And
for
so
a reason that you deserve it too. That needs to stop.
right.
A lot of men and women be looking for. They be asking questions just to see if you deserved it in their mind, so they can turn the other cheek. They say, "Oh well, you started with him."
I
Yeah,
had a
you
question
found
for
out.
Miss Pert.
Go ahead, TC.
But hey, QI, and I just want to say, QI, excellent show the live the other morning, perfect, excellent. Other night, Miss Pert,
Yes,
are you are you affiliated with any religious instruction at all
no.
in your 20s? When you were in your 20s, like in your going to
Oh,
church
okay.
or a mosque
Oh
or
yeah,
or,
yeah,
or temple?
yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me were did you find that the folks in the church were they helpful?
Yeah, I had a lot of the sisters come was helpful to me. Who was always
Nice.
checking on me. Who we always pray. They was some prayer warriors, baby. They prayed. They always
Mm,
praying for me. We constantly pray together. I learned my Bible more than what I knew it as more. So they would, yeah, they
okay.
was there. They was there. They most definitely was there.
Excellent.
Some of the brothers they was there as well. Gave me comfort, as well. Yes, ma'am. They was there. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I just want to say again, you were in your 20s, and when you mentioned that, I was like, "You go, girl!" Because we often find sometimes, and myself included, even in our 20s, we don't necessarily listen, don't do the follow through, but you did, and when you can have a young person, because sometimes I come across some young people, and I'm like, "Yo, that young person is absolutely amazing." I'll go 10 toes down for them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when they saw you, that you were tired of it, you were fed up. I think Carrie mentioned that. You were fed up. You followed through. Whenever you were given direction, you did it. You know. So once again, to you, kudos.
Thank
And
you.
I don't know if you plan
Mm-hmm.
on writing a book or anything, because I know I just looked at I gleaned at your channel, and you're very verbal. When I say very verbal, you've been out here, putting the message out. Have you
Activist.
thought
Mm-hmm.
about have you thought about, and I know QI is an excellent producer. She knows how to do all that stuff in terms of graphics and all that good stuff. And not that I'm promoting anything or anybody, but I have to say, you have QI and Yusuf over here. Their talents are amazing. Have you ever thought about
Mm-hmm.
a book?
No, I haven't. I just thought about just being very vocal to women.
Okay.
I've been thinking about where I can just start going out to myself to going to other groups and speaking to women as well, about domestic violence and how to stay strong and how to use your
Mhm.
source and how to use your safe havens and how to get you new friends and not the same old friends that you and
Mm,
She's a
your
hands-on
friends.
type of girl.
yeah.
So
She goes
Mm-hmm.
out and
I thought about
she
it.
likes to
I
be
just want to get the word out. I
around.
just want to get the word out to more black women who are more afraid of speaking out, and also to more men who are not comfortable on speaking out about being abused by a woman.
Yeah.
More men
Well,
speaking
I
about
will
it.
say this, and
I feel like if more
I'm
men
gonna
speak out
go
about it, more men
down
will
in
come
the
forward about their abuse.
Got you.
And YouTube
Well,
is a great
I'm gonna
avenue
go
for
down
that.
in the chat. I'm gonna go down in the chat, and I just wanted to say thank you, Miss Pert. Fairy Carey. I remember when Miss Pert came
Remember the
in,
first time when she
and
came over?
I remember, and I remember you were like, is this a troll? Is this, and you listen, and I just want to say, talk about A1 content creating, on a
Mm-hmm.
positive, on a powerful.
Salute,
Thank
Carrie.
you. Thank you
Salute,
so much.
Carrie. I knew you could do it though.
Oh
I knew
yes,
you could
right,
do it.
QI,
Yeah, I much prefer doing
I,
this than, the drama all the
Miss
time.
Pert, Miss
crazy.
Pert, if you
Yes,
ever
ma'am.
decide to write a book,
I
you
have not. I
keep in
just started.
contact with Carrie, because QI and Yusuf have talents that you're gonna need to make sure your book goes to the next level. Okay, so I
Okay.
just want to put that out there. I will definitely make sure I will buy a book, 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 100 for a lot of different
Or
people.
not
Uh,
not
and
even
thank
just
you.
that. Not even just that. You self may want to bring you on to his channel as well as like eventually I may want to can you hear me? I may want to bring you on to my channel, and that's to help your channel grow. It's going to help your channel grow because you're going to get more exposure. Um,
Mhm.
you'll get more exposure, and it's like around the topics that Yusuf and myself speak about. And the amazing thing about Yusuf is that he's a male,
Yes,
There you go.
he's a young
so
king.
There you
he
go.
can speak. I'm saying he can speak to, like with me, when you do it with me, just like with Red Wings, right? He was looking at it from he looked at everything from his perspective, right? But like
Yes,
when you have the balance of a male and a female, you get both perspectives, and that makes it
yes,
even greater.
Yes, and I'm
Yes.
very sensitive towards the things that women go through, and so that makes me, I guess, very good for the passion that I have about speaking about those things. So the stories
Yes.
that I report on are very traumatizing and triggering. So I would never want to re-trigger nobody either. So when
Hmm.
you see if it's the crime news galaxy, if respectfully you can skip past it because it is going to be those very hard, tragic stories and I'm very outraged about it in the process. So it could be a lot of mixed emotions, knowing the love that women have in their hearts. But
Right.
I can try to do my
Ooh,
best, but you don't really have to thank me. It's simply an honor. But I wanted to ask you too, because I know I missed the beginning part, so I don't want to be asking things over and over again that Carrie already asked. But I'm wondering, when you how old were you when the abuse started, and how old were you when it stopped?
I was in my 20s, and it stopped within, I guess, the same day it happened. Because when the day that it happened, um, he went to jail. And he had been in jail ever since then. He's been in jail now for 25 years. And in case you missed it, it's time now for him to come up to get parole out in November of this year. Now, I stayed in contact with the parole board, and I was always there every time they came up for him to go for parole. I was always there to give my voice, you know,
Hmm.
and I always there to voice my opinion. So every time he came up for parole, I was there to put my foot on his neck to make sure he didn't get out. I made sure that he to kind of get some kind of rehabilitation or
I
learn
hope he
to,
doesn't get out. I hope he doesn't get out because and my I hope he doesn't get out because this is also a dangerous time. Just like leaving is the hardest and most dangerous time too for a lot of women in those situations.
right,
Definitely so is after a protective orders and after doing time and stuff like that. These dusties still don't get over it and they hold that vengeance in their heart all that time too. So that puts another concern level to it to show you how it never stops. It's always a journey for your health and wellness and safety after being involved in these situations, even after you get help. So,
right.
so that was interesting. Now, do you feel like your age and being younger had something to do with you being preyed upon? Because I know people can get abused at all ages, but that's a different type of predator. They prey on you for different
Um,
reasons before they finally pounce on you.
I don't know. I never looked at it like that because of the age difference. I didn't look at it like that. I
What
never
was
looked
the
at.
age difference?
I would say about 5 years older, 5 years of
Okay.
difference. And I never did look at it like that,
Hmm.
and I never did see any kind of signs of abuse. I didn't know it because
Mhm.
I didn't know the signs. There's a lot of signs when it comes down to being abused. It can be small. It can be small things you never even looked at to be abused. So I'm sure I probably was abused and just didn't know it because I didn't know the signs of it. It was probably
Right.
small before it got bigger.
Right.
And do you feel like okay, if you can remember back, well, it's like back then. Do you feel like you're more self confident now than you were back then?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, Queen. I'm more
Mhm. Mhm.
confident. I'm more stronger. I can talk about it. I can tell you what I'm not going. I can tell you what I'm not going to do when I meet guys. I tell them what I'm not going to go for. You know what I'm saying? Up front instead of just waiting. Down the line trying to beat around the bush. Till
Right.
something happen, then speak up about it. I'm up front about it off top. So I'm very
You
vocal about
protect
it.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason I asked that is because once again, it has a lot to do with how people feel about themselves, their self worth, what they deserve. Because if
Right.
you came up in a verbally abusive home and all you've been told is that you're nothing, not going to amount to
Right.
anything, or
Or
whatever it
all
may
you
have been,
seen was your mom being spoken down to by your dad or something like
right,
that.
Mhm.
Right.
right,
What are you gonna do when you get
then you're
older?
gonna
You know?
right, you're
You're gonna
gonna
think it's
feel that way
okay.
about yourself. Yeah, and
Right.
you're gonna feel like you deserve it. Because I mean, it's unfortunate, but a lot of well, I can only speak for our race when it comes to this. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say it's a racial, it's a across racial lines. All right. A lot of times, people convince people that they deserve it. Just like, okay, let me tell you, like a
Hmm.
mother, like just say a rich man, right?
Mhm.
Or like let's look at even back in biblical days or whatever. You had a man that had a lot of money, and he came and he asked the parents, could he marry their daughter? And a lot of times, because of economic, because of like a lot of different factors, environmental factors uh that it may have something to do with, then that person will go ahead and uh basically marry their daughter off. So
Seller.
uh seller. And so in a lot of ways, even if you're not being sold off, a lot of times in the family, when you come to them and you tell them you might be experiencing this or blah blah blah, a lot of times it depends on like what's coming out of that relationship. Just like the churches, right? There are a lot of those women, a lot of women in churches and different religions that are being abused, but because of the fact that he's the preacher or whatever, he has a status quo. A lot of times, a lot of women would say, "Just girl, just stick with it, just stick
It's
with it,"
custom
or
introduced.
whatever. Right. And so, a lot of times that plays a factor too in like how, people grow up to feel about themselves. So, um,
Hmm.
one of the best things in the world is when we all realize our self-worth, all realize that we're worthy of something, because a lot of that stops the cycle of, putting well, I don't want to say putting ourselves in these situations, but
Being
not
vulnerable.
knowing when stuff is problem. Yeah, not knowing when stuff
Right.
is
You're
problematical,
right though.
problematic, and being vulnerable.
Yeah. Right.
Can I
I just wanted to say, Carrie.
ask?
It, I'm sorry,
Go
Yusuf. I
ahead,
just
boo.
wanted to,
You
Carrie,
first.
just check your cash out. If you can do that for me, I would appreciate it. Half for you and half for Miss Perp. Miss Perp, when Yusuf asked you that question, and you said that the parole is coming up, and that every time parole comes up, that you're always there. You're doing the work.
Right. Right.
You
But
are doing the freaking, because this is when you do when these things happen and you now enter into the system, it is constant work. And
yes.
I just want to say again, kudos to you on so many levels from me.
Thank
And
you.
I just also want to say to you that Carrie has some instructions, so she's going to, carry that out for me.
Okay.
Um,
TC.
Continue the work. Yes, Carrie.
Yeah, I read it.
Yeah,
Thank you, and I appreciate it. And for those who would like to send a tip to Miss Perp for being up
yeah.
here and talking about her experience and stuff, she's been so gracious to be with here for this long. Here is her cash app on the screen if you'd like to send her a tip for her time, and if you're also enjoying the conversation, please go ahead and do
Very
that too.
strong woman. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Miss Perk.
Very,
God
Well,
bless
thank
you.
very
you. And
strong.
Especially to
I'm
be reliving this thing, because I wanted to ask you also if you've been following up with this Diddy situation with Cassie.
Ooh.
Have you been
I
hearing
have.
about it?
I have.
Tell
I
me,
think it's
how did you
very sad.
feel watching that oh, TC dropped down. I was gonna say something to her. How did you feel? I don't know if she just hold, let me drop the link. How did you feel watching that? Especially
It
that
bothered me.
clip of him,
It bothered
physically
me.
abusing her.
It bothered me at first. My first see, I'm like, is he hitting her and dragging her like she's just a rag doll? And but the way that she reacted to it is like it's nothing new. It has happened before. Her reaction to it is like it happened before. It's not the
That's the
first time.
same thing I was thinking
Hmm.
to myself. She just laid down there and she was just, she
Yeah,
was accustomed to it. She just knew that
yeah,
she wasn't supposed to fight back. Maybe she
hmm,
already knew,
Hmm.
if she fought back, what would have happened to her. I was sick
yeah,
to my
Hmm.
stomach watching that.
yeah,
And he had the nerve to come on here giving all this stupid apology like people are supposed to feel bad for him.
yeah.
But Carrie,
Look,
you
you see
overlook
how
the
he
fact
was
that he
looking.
apologized to her every time after he beat her. That's another trait of the abuser. He'll beat you
Yes.
down and say you
Yeah.
soft.
Exactly.
So
Right.
that didn't
Yes.
phase nobody.
And that is one of the reasons why when Miss Perp was saying the first time he hit her, when she experienced that, that was the end for her because she knew she wasn't gonna stick around with that. So even when he tried to talk to her after that, or had his parent, his mom, or family try to get with her, she didn't, fall back into that trap, and that's a good thing for her. She's a strong woman. Some of these women, they experience these things and they find it so hard to leave because they'll say, "Oh, I love this person, but I love this person," or, "Oh, I have children with this person, I can't, split up with this person because I want them to have a stable family." But no, if
Mm-mm.
it is that you're
In
going to have to
Hollywood,
sit and be hurt, you can't do this. You cannot do this to your
in Holly,
children, and you cannot do this to yourself you know
in Ho- in Hollywood or amongst the elite, it works a lot different. Like on our level, that's how it works, right? But
Right.
on their level, it's
It's
much
different.
deeper than it really isn't easy. It
Right.
really
And they
isn't
got the
easy,
same
you know.
emotions as humans, but they got more resources in different ways that they maneuver though. Because I feel like they do like the even when you're rich and famous, even if you crying in a Bentley, you still a better woman. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right.
exactly.
Right.
And I keep referencing to all these times when I see her on the red carpet, all those fake smiles, all this time she was there smiling,
Mhm.
That
all
was a part
dolled
of
up
it.
for these.
A trophy.
I'm just
Or
saying, it's
or how
crazy.
about how many of
Yeah.
these female celebrities are experiencing abuse
Exactly.
and on the red carpet and smiling like nothing is going on? Because
Covering
when
up
you
for
look
it.
at it, it's
Right.
just about all of them.
They won't speak
It's
Right.
up.
all of. It's okay. Like I'm sure Yusuf is on this level. It's deeper than what most people know, but it's in our hands, and we have control over it, and we do need to rise up. We do need to realize our self worth, and we do need to do better. But it's just like really deep. It's really 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 deep. It's
Yes.
really deep. It's like deeper than like us normal people go through but it does. Let me put it like this. Everything is all
And
connected. Everything is all connected at the end of the day. At the end of the day. And I'm gonna digress and leave it right there to keep from going too deep.
Miss Ferb, 1 second, real quick. Is your Cash App? Does it have a gentleman on it? Is that your son?
Yes, ma'am. That's Vino.
Okay,
That's my son.
cool. Okay,
Yes,
just
Can
ma'am.
I
wanted to
add
make
on to
sure.
something? I want to add on to what QI was saying because that's something that's real serious too. Like when you say, I heard you say self worth a couple times, and you asked Miss Perp a question to reflect back to just double check that. And a lot of times people do have strong self awareness. It goes back to those excuses that they make. Oh, I got to keep the family together, or and sometimes it's too strong.
Mhm.
They feel like, well, I can deal with it because I need to. So
Mhm.
it's a balance of not being too strong and not being too weak. You know what I'm saying? To be ignorant or vulnerable. And so, because a lot of people, you don't really know your self worth. You don't really know for real, for real. You could think you have the highest self esteem in the world until something happens to really challenge that and put you in that place. And sometimes it's the shock of being abused that put a person in that headspace.
Yes. That's
Mhm.
correct.
Mhm.
Right.
Thank you, TC, for coming up. TC's in the chat saying good night. Good
Good
night.
night, TC.
We've
Good
been on
night,
here
TC.
for 2.5 hours, so I'm gonna have to
Yes,
wrap
sir.
this up real quick. Because I'm not sure if Miss Perp has a lot of time. Ooh, newbies in the back.
Hey,
Miss
Nuki.
I
Perp.
just want to I just want to say to the gentleman on the panel that like I said, my abuser will be getting out on the 27th of November. I can't stop it because he's been there for 25 years. Has done his full time in
Right.
jail, so I can't stop that. So, but I can protect myself, and
Yes.
I also
Mhm.
when he do be getting ready to get out, I guess around my September, I will go get me a protection order as well to protect myself
Yep,
here,
you should.
in my state.
And are
Yes.
you
That's a good
still
idea.
connected to those? Are you still connected to those same organizations because they help with that as well?
I still connected to
Some of those
one
same
lady. Yeah, I still talk to one lady. She called me frequently to check on me as well. So I still talk to her. So I had talked to her
reconnect with
yesterday.
those organizations to
Right.
let
Now
them
would
know
be a
what's
good
happening.
time. Right. Now
Yeah,
would be a good time. You're right, QI. Now would be a good
Mhm.
time to reconnect with them to make sure
So
you
yeah,
they're
have them there.
aware.
Right. And
I'm
also
making
that
Mhm.
order
And
of
they can help
protection.
you. Yeah, they
I
can
agree
help
with
you with
that.
any extra steps that you may or may not know about anything else because this is what they do. And I
right.
want to say real quick though, this is why resources are important. Like everybody be talking about welfare, everybody be talking about Section 8 and all this kind of stuff. People need this. There are people for this
Yes,
reason, not because they lazy, not because they don't work or whatever, because sometimes people get put in situations and just these resources alone can help somebody have a better life.
Right. Right.
How's everybody doing on the
Hey,
panel?
newbie.
Hey,
Hey,
Doing good.
newbie.
How are you,
Doing
newbie?
good.
Great, great.
I'm
Yeah.
good.
Hi, newbie.
Miss Perp, I just got here, so I didn't hear a lot of whatever happened. I'm just catching like the last 5 or 10 minutes. But I want to speak to like never mind whatever kept you locked in that space, whatever had you, whatever boulder was on top of you. Never mind that because we know what situations can do to the mind. I want to speak to the woman whenever, whatever, however long it took you to decide to get away. That is the warrior that I want to speak to right now. I am so proud of you. I honor you and I aspire to your strength.
thank you, Queen. Thank you, thank
Amen.
you. A lot. Like I said, I went through counseling. I had sisters at the church. I wasn't alone. I had women help me fight this battle that I was going through. So I had support. I had different support from different places.
That is wonderful. I just want, and I know you know it. You got to know it because you did it. Do you know how strong you are? Do you know
I
what a good
realized
role model you are?
I realize it now, and I'll even open to say that if you're in Texas and you need a safe haven place to go to, and till you get yourself together. I have a 1 bedroom, but I have 1 bedroom, but my house is always open to you if you're trying to get your safe haven and trying to get yourself together and try to do better than what you got going on right now with domestic violence.
And that is so admirable of you, the fact that you're also, extending your accommodation for people who may need the help. So that is really good. I commend you for that also.
Yes.
Right. And just to be able to come out here and speak about it and not let anybody make you feel ashamed, that is so powerful. Like I am not just talking to be talking. I respect you on so many levels. I was an RA, okay, at a DV shelter for years, and I
Mhm.
saw it up close and personal. Whatever happened for whatever reason, and no matter how long you stayed or whatever, because people tend to victimize victims. It was 1000% never your fault that you cared about a despicable narcissist bastard who took advantage of your
Right.
kind heart. The important thing, sis, is that you got up and got out of there.
That's right.
Immediately too. She didn't even look back. She didn't
No.
even wait for it to happen a second time. And that is the right type of attitude to have. And you were so young at the time. Most young women are so vulnerable, they go right back to the abuser, you know?
But like
So
I said,
that
there
is
was something I
really
never
a good
seen before. I didn't have it in my household. My grandparents, I didn't hang around. My mother didn't have friends. She didn't associate herself with friends who was in an abusive relationship. So I didn't see that. So that was nothing that I was accustomed to, and I didn't relate to. And I didn't like it. It wasn't nothing that I like. I wanted to, I didn't want to hear a man tell me, how he beat me up, and then later on down the line that night we go to bed, he wants to know how beautiful I am. I'm beautiful now because you done beat me up. You see what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
wasn't beautiful at first as how I was as a person, but as you have abused me and black in my eyes and pulled my hair, and my face is swollen. I got tears coming out of my eyes. Now I'm beautiful. You see what I'm saying? Why can't I just be beautiful like I was before you abused me? And I didn't like
Right,
that.
right.
I didn't
Right.
like that. So
That's horrible.
Lush Gang Mama also is in the chat. I want to, shout out to her too because she also has her own story of domestic violence. She's just pretty much here to support Miss Perp. She's not able to click the link, but I'm also, acknowledging that she has been through it too, but she's also, lifting up her friend Miss Perp while she's here. So, and shout out to Just Me too.
oh yeah.
Shout out. Is that why
They're
your
here
name is
lifting
Perp?
her up.
For being a DV survivor? Is that why it's put Perp in your name?
No, I just put it in there now. But I am a survivor, and and salute to all the survivors, domestic violence survivors. Salute to everyone who has a safe haven home for someone who wants to come in, want to change their life, to better themselves. But so no, sir. But I just just got it in there. Yes, sir. But
Before
All
you,
right, thank you
I'm
again.
going to talk
And I'm
about
about
it
to drop
anytime.
down too.
thank you
I'm
so much,
gonna,
Yusuf, for coming up.
yes, my
Um,
pleasure.
I
Thanks for all
appreciate
your
you,
discussion,
your
Gary.
support as per
Yuzi,
usual.
stay right there for a second, Yuzi. I'm gonna put something in the
Okay.
back chat for you.
Okay. I'm
While
live
the,
too.
while
We'll continue on the show later.
while she does that, Miss Perp, I want you to tell people about your channel for those who are hearing about Miss Perp for the first
Okay.
time. Tell
Oh
them the
yeah.
name of your channel. I'll drop your link again and tell them
Okay.
what they can expect if they come to visit your channel.
And
Okay.
people are telling her, giving her good words and blessings as well in my chat. Just so you
Thank
know.
you. Thank you. The name of my channel is called Vino Entertainment TV. Vino Entertainment TV is based on my son Gavin, who I lost to gunfire.
Ooh.
I talk about firearm violence on my channel because of that. I try to motivate young women, young men, and mothers and fathers on that level. I talk about feeding the homeless. I go out in the community. I feed the homeless with the help of my channel. Um, I do donations. If I don't do the donations, it's not very important to me on my channel for feeding the homeless. But what's important to me is when you can just go ahead and curbside the order, I can just pick it up. That's most important to me. So money is not a factor. It's for coming out to donations. Just curbside can be fine with that. I'm always out in the community. I do back to school drives. I do last year I did haircuts for young boys at the age of 5 to 18. They had to have a proper ID, but I did haircuts for that. I had the hot dogs and things like that, the chips and things like that. I had a guy over in Richardson who knew someone that had a barber shop, and he introduced me to him, and he blessed me on that part for doing haircuts. I also do back to school supplies for kids for like pencil, paper, and things like that. I talk about being molested for women who has been taken advantage of by father, cousins, brothers, things of that sort. I talk about things like this. So I talk about things to inspire, motivate, and give peace to other people. As far as bullying, I don't believe in anything like that. So I just basically like to do support and just show love and just give peace to people, and give some where people were. It's a place where you have to always go where it's always argument and cussing and doxing and fussing and police calling. It's where you can go get some knowledge and get some wisdom. Somewhere you can tell somebody what's going on. You can give a young man knowledge who's in distress. I'm talking about someone can give a young queen some knowledge who's in distress. So that's mostly what my channel is about. Is like I said, love and support. You know and by loving yourself, how can you love somebody when you don't love yourself? Self come first. It's self love.
Right, right. And here goes her link in the chat for those who want to subscribe.
Yeah.
So the name of the channel is Vino Entertainment TV. I want to thank you so
Follow
much for
and
coming
share.
up and spending your time with us. We ended up being here for over 2 hours and 30 minutes. And, the conversation was just as good as the first one. The first time I met her, she spoke to me about her son who passed as a result of gun violence. And we had a very beautiful conversation. And that is how I ended up asking her to come back here um, today. And I really, really appreciate and admire your strength. I also appreciate the time that you took out to come on here and talk to me today because you
Oh,
didn't
I
have to
love
do it, but you did. And I'm pretty
you.
sure you've inspired, motivated at least one person here who either they're listening in the clouds or maybe watching on the replay. You never know. So
Yeah,
I am thankful for that. And thank you also for the persons who subscribed. Indigo says she
thank
just
you.
subscribed also. So thank you to
And
those who have been
before I
subscribed
leave,
into the channel.
I want to give out seven good. I want to give out some reason of healthy relationships. Trust each other for a healthy relationship. Support each other. Be equal partners. Be yourself. Communicate well with each other and be honest. Don't do any feeling. Be truthful about it. You know what I'm saying? And have fun together. And the most of all, as far as in a healthy relationship, it's called respect. You got to have respect. If you don't have respect, you don't have nothing. You know. And most of all, you got to have God in your life. You got to have somebody to pray to. I always pray about it. And that's what I want to say. And thank you, Miss Carrie, for having me come up. And thank you, everyone in the chat, and all you kings and queens that came up on the panel. Um, I'm always here to motivate. It's domestic violence. It's not easy for people to talk about, and that's why we need to get out and motivate people and talk to people so they can be more easy talking about it, and that way they can reach somebody, someone else. Like I said earlier, the age of domestic violence starts at the age of 15 and 16 years old. And you'll wonder, what do a 15 and 16-year-old know about domestic violence? Well, they seen it from somewhere in their household, or friends may do it. So we got to pull together and try to end domestic violence as much as we can. Miss Karen, I'd like to thank you very, very, very much. And I'll be back. And I am
And please
sub.
confirm. Can you please confirm if you got the Cash App that I sent you?
Okay, let me check. Okay.
And while she's doing that, I want to thank her again for being brave enough to come and share her story and help and reach out to other people. Like, that's
Yeah,
epic.
I really do appreciate that because not a lot of people would want to talk about this. And remember, I also had V on here talking about sharing her experience also. So it takes a strong person to do so because not everybody, would be
Right.
comfortable talking about an
And thank you,
experience like
Carrie,
that.
for facilitating, for providing a safe space where people feel comfortable enough to come and have these type of conversations. You got to give yourself a pat on the back for that as well, sis.
I appreciate that, newbie. I really do. I really do. And I am really hoping that somebody, you know, heard and was able to see that, okay, Miss Perp, she went through it. I may
Oh
have
yes.
gone through it, may not have been physical abuse, but she was able to get out of that situation and I can do so too. So I'm just hoping that motivates somebody. All right. Well, that's it for Get Back with Carrie. I really do appreciate you guys for coming up. Um, I'm waiting for Miss Burp to confirm with me. Make sure it was sent to the right person. Make sure it was sent to the right person. But it should be.
Yeah, I
Oops,
got
hold
it.
on.
Thank you. Yeah, my email
Okay,
confirmed.
and right. And shout out to TC. I want to thank everyone. Oh, where did we go? I want to thank everyone who was a part of the live today. Um, Thank you to Red Wings and QI. Thank you to TC who came up. Who else came up? Thank you to Newbie. Thank you to Yusuf. Thank you to everyone who clicked on the link. Thank you to everyone who passed through in the chat and were supportive. They were asking questions. They were also, giving the support to Miss Perp. Thank you again, Miss Perp, for coming through. And shout out to my mods and shout out to
Thank you.
everyone who made this possible tonight. I appreciate you all.
All right, I'm going to go on and jump down, but I'll say it again, Ms. Perp. It's lovely to cyber meet you. I have subscribed. I will definitely be around. You are powerful and whole, and I just appreciate you as a human being. Carrie, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for letting me come up, sis. Bye.
Okay, you're welcome, newbie. Okay, and guys, remember, like I was saying before, like we said earlier on, abuse does not just happen between partners, between spouses. Abuse can happen, between siblings, between parent and child. And there are different forms of abuse that we covered that earlier on when we spoke on the fact that there's physical violence, there's social abuse, there is financial abuse, sexual violence, psychological abuse, emotional abuse. So when we think of domestic violence, we can't only think of physical abuse. There are different forms that fall under that category. And if you're experiencing any one of these, you need to reach out to somebody. There has to be at least one person in your family or a close friend that you can find. And if not, see if you could find resources. There's always somewhere that you can call or go on their website. Something, there has to be somewhere you could go. And for those people who are friends or know of someone who is being abused, some of us, we are afraid to get into people's relationships because we all know that sometimes they may get back together and you may look like a damn idiot for trying to help when they when they reach out for help. But at the same time, still be a supportive person, still listen to them if you can. If they want to talk to you, still talk to them. Remember that it's not very easy for people who are experiencing any type of abuse to even open up to anyone in the first place. So if you can, I am encouraging you to listen to them and help them to recognize their strength. Okay, the fact that they're able to talk to you about the situation, it as that one step shows how strong they are. Also, try as best as possible not to make the person feel guilty for being a victim. Too many times, people who are victims and people find out about their situation, they always, make the victims feel worse than they do. Why are you just talking about it now? There are some people who it took strength and guts for them to report something that may have happened a year ago, 10 years ago. And you hear people having conversations talking about, why is this person doing this just now? Is it money that they want? They find all these excuses, but they don't understand that some people, they are very scared, and it takes a lot out of them to be able to speak. Do not place any type of shame or blame on the victim. you know just be there to offer some type of help. Okay, also, try to figure out what you can do to encourage them to talk to someone else who can help, because maybe you can't give them the type of help or provide them with the type of resources they need. So if you could help to find somewhere or someone or an organization that they could be connected to, you could do that, especially if you can do it without their abuser knowing of it. Okay, so encourage them to talk to someone else, right? um I appreciate you all for passing through. And there are hotlines that are out there that you can, call. There's always a 24-hour hotline available. There's a place called Safe House Center. There's a hotline. It's 734-995-5444. There are so many places, so many free resources out there, so many places you can contact online. Feel free to find someone to talk to or get in contact with one of these hotline services. I'm gonna go now. We've been on here for a while and the conversation was really good. I appreciate you again for passing through. I'm hoping I didn't miss any names. Thank you again, TC. I appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who was here cheering on Miss Vino Entertainment. Here goes her channel name. Hey, Miss Queenie. Oh, you are in the clouds. Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone who made the live what it was. Thank you especially to Miss Perb for taking the time out of her busy Sunday evening, taking the time out from her family to come on here and share her experience and also give strength to those who may have been, experiencing this. All right, I gotta go, and I appreciate you all. See you maybe tomorrow. Who knows? All right, let's dance out of here and take care of each other and be thankful. Okay, bye. What you just watched a while ago or listened to a while ago is one of my what I called Kick Back with Carrie. So I'm hoping that you enjoy that. Whenever we have more topics to discuss, we'll just kick back with Carrie, you know? Kick back with Carrie. And if you have ideas or other topics that you'd like to talk about, let me know and come kick back with me. Okay.
Let me hear what you have to say.